My entitled supervisor steals a spot at a conference in Hawaii that my coworker was supposed to be attending with me, but instead he got shut out by this crappy supervisor. So I decided to get some very petty revenge by quite literally canceling his hotel reservation at the conference, as I quite literally ruined this guy's trip in a way that he will never forget. Here's what happened. Okay, so I worked at a company for almost 15 years in the 90s and early 2000s, and towards the end of my time there, we hired a supervisor. Now, I didn't report to him, but he would read documents on my desk when I wasn't there and would sometimes make copies of my product and give it to his subordinates, telling them to modify it to fit what they were working on. Now, to be completely honest, I didn't care, since we all worked on the same company, but it was the sneakiness and doing it behind my back that really irritated me. He was also an obnoxious person, blowing his horn and basking in the success of his guys way too much, and he was really not well liked if I'm being completely honest. A coworker who I will call Bert for the sake of the story, the both of us had been attending a conference in Hawaii every year. We were good friends and hung out together with others from the conference that we met once a year, and it was a reward for doing our jobs. The conference was at a resort hotel in Waikiki Beach, but the rooms were limited and would be sold out by the time the conference began. So basically, if you don't make the reservations in advance, you would have to stay somewhere else. Now, the supervisor, who I will call Tom, saw the travel authorization form on my desk that I had to submit for the conference, and then filled one out for himself to go. He was then told that there was only funding to send 2 people, so he went up the management chain to get approval for himself. And because he outranked me and my coworker, one of us had to withdraw our paperwork to go. Well, we literally flipped a coin and I won. I traveled frequently and I had accumulated lots of frequent flyer miles. Because the flight time was over a certain number of hours from the East Coast to Honolulu, we were authorized to travel in business class, which was a huge benefit. I didn't want to sit next to Tom, so I used my miles to upgrade from business class to first class. And I didn't even tell Tom about my upgrade, and our travel agent was able to get reservations for the both of us at the resort hotel. Well, Tom being Tom, let everyone in the office know that he was going to Hawaii, bragging about flying in business class and staying at a Hawaiian resort. He also told me that I was expected to introduce him to the conference regulars, take him to the best restaurants, and show him a good time. It got to be a bit too much, and I intended to avoid him as much as possible while we were there. We were flying out on Sunday and flying back on an overnight flight the next Saturday. Well, Saturday afternoon, I called to confirm my airline reservation, which is something I had learned to do over my years of frequent travel. Asking about seats, I was told that there was no business class or first class seats available, but the coach section did still have some. And when I heard this really got me thinking. So I decided to call from a payphone later that day, and I changed Tom's reservations to a business class flight on Monday. And then on top of that, I called the hotel and I canceled his room. I checked in at the airport Sunday morning, and then I went to the first class lounge to wait for my flight to be called. When the announcement came over the loudspeakers, I grabbed my stuff and I went straight to the gate. They were boarding the first class passengers as I arrived there. So I got on the plane, I found my seat, and I ordered a drink. When most of the plane was boarded, Tom came through the jetway looking furious. Seeing me, he stopped and started ranting about the airline messing up his reservation. The flight attendant quickly told him that he needed to be seated. He then asked her if there were any empty seat other than coach, and she apologized, but the premier cabins were full. Well, twice during the flight, he came up to my seat to complain some more. The agent at the counter was able to change his ticket to this flight, but could only get him a ticket in coach. In fact, he was assigned to the middle seat in the center row of 5 seats, and simply couldn't get comfortable. But nonetheless, he ranted on, and even asked if I would switch with him for the last half of the flight. Well, I politely declined, and I didn't see him again until we were at the luggage carousel to get our bags. We then took the courtesy shuttle to the hotel and waited in line to check in. Now, he was in check-in next to me when he learned that he had no reservation at the sold-out Hawaiian resort. And when he was told this, he went ballistic. A manager was summoned and took him to another computer station about 20 feet away, but you know what? I didn't stick around, and instead I went up to my room. Well, fast forward, and my room phone rang about 15 minutes later, and it was Tom pitching a fit. He told me that he needed to share my room with me since it was where the conference was. He complained that the manager was only able to secure a room for him at a motel that was about a 10-minute walk away. And although I had 2 queen-size beds, I told him that my room only had 1 bed, conveniently leaving out the fact that I had a balcony with ocean view or the separate living room area. Now, I did see Tom during all the sessions, and I did take pity on him, and he hung out with me at the cocktail social after the first day of sessions and tagged along with me and my companions for dinner. We flew back Saturday evening, and since he was actually in business class this time, he didn't come up to complain as much as he did before. Well, when I got back, I did confess to Bert at lunch a few days after returning, and he said that it kind of made up for not not being able to travel with me, and honestly, with all things considered, I have to agree. Okay, I love this story so much because you know for a fact this drove Tom up a wall. First of all, this guy is a scumbag for pushing Bert out of this trip, but also I cannot stand people who act like this, dude. They're so like high and mighty and full of themselves, and they're trying to act like they're some kind of hotshot just because they use management to get their way and like take someone else out of a trip they were not even going to be a part of in the first place. Like Bert had every right to be there and not Tom. Tom's a jerk for doing that. So it's already really just awful that you have to deal with this guy for like a few days. Not to mention the fact that he's letting everybody know about the fact like, oh, I'm going to be in business class. Look how important I am. When it's like, dude, you were not even supposed to be here. Like, get out of here, man. So the fact that you screwed with him this much and pretty much just ruined this trip for him entirely, like that is hilarious in my opinion, and I love that. So yeah, good for you for getting back at this guy. He clearly deserved it because the way he got on this trip in the first place was very messed up. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for wanting to bring in our neighbor's package while she goes away for the holidays? Because right now my girlfriend's very pissed off at me and says that I'm not allowed to do this, and now I don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. I'm a 20-year-old male and I live in an apartment complex where the buildings are pretty well divided up. There are 4 doors to each floor, each subsection with its entrance from outside. My girlfriend and I moved in a few months back and haven't interacted with any neighbors. I was going upstairs when I ran into a girl that lives across from me, and she said that she had a package on back order and asked if I could take it in for her while she goes home for the holidays. Our complex is in a very safe neighborhood in a very safe city, but anyone could still walk in and take it since the main doors to each subsection don't have locks. Without really thinking twice, I told her I would bring the package in since it did seem like the neighborly thing to do. Once the package arrived, I told my girlfriend I would bring it in, and she told me that I wouldn't be allowed to do that. Her reasoning was that we don't know what's in the package, we don't know the neighbor, and we don't know when they will be back and need the package back from us. She says that in apartment complexes, bringing in packages isn't standard behavior. She even said she would just take it back out if I brought it in. I tried explaining that since I told the girl I would bring in the package, I wanted to follow through. I also don't imagine there's anything heinous inside it. And even if there was, I wouldn't mind holding on to it for a week or two over the holidays. Like, am I really in the wrong for wanting to bring it in even after our argument? I mostly worry that if I give in and leave the package in the hallway, that someone will steal it. I also don't want the neighbor to think poorly of me if she comes back and the package is sitting outside, even though she trusted me to bring it in. So am I the jerk for wanting to bring the package in anyways? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, I don't think you would be the jerk at all, especially if it's like a small package. Like, I don't see any problem with just putting it at your front door and leaving it there. Like, right when you walk into your house. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I do think your girlfriend has a point where it's like, dude, we do not know that lady. Why are you taking random packages without, like, getting more information? But from the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like this is some sketchy person, and I just don't think there's gonna be a problem. So no, you wouldn't be the jerk for helping them out, and I think it would be the right thing to do. Am I the jerk for not wanting to give my brother my car after he essentially destroyed and totaled the one that my dad gave him? Because right now, my boyfriend's saying that I should give it to him, but honestly, I don't think that's a good idea. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. I'm a 31-year-old female and I have an older car. It was the first car that was ever like truly mine, and my dad bought it for me. I got that car in 2014, but in 2020, I purchased my current vehicle due to constant issues with the old car. Now, my younger brother is 3 years younger than me, and in 2019, he was struggling to get his life started. At the time, he was around 23 years old. I got him a job at the company I was working at and essentially begged the company to bring him on. I then moved him from out of state to live with me and my boyfriend. The job was a work from home position, so I trained him and we both worked from home. And this was the most money he's ever made in his life. For reference, he came from the auto industry as a mechanic and minimum wage jobs. Now, the company really liked him, and we even flew to the company's home state for a Christmas celebration, and they were happy to have him. Well, at the time, things were going great, and his girlfriend even moved in with us. When my boyfriend and I decided it was time to move in 2020, my brother asked if he and his girlfriend could rent from me and stay in the house. And for clarification, I own the property. So I said yes, and that they would just have to cover the mortgage and utilities, which came out to be about $1,300 a month, and this would cover a 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. And when I offered this, they said yes. Well, fast forward, and my brother starts slacking at work to the point that he isn't even responding to me or our boss, who, by the way, is the owner owner of the entire company. I even started to have to pick up his slack and cover for him, and my god, I was so stressed out. It was a work from home job, and he decided to try and do other things while on the clock. So needless to say, he was fired. At this point, we had already moved out, and I went by the townhouse one day only to find a hole in every single wall. The house was completely trashed. And mind you, this was the very first house I've ever bought in my life. I mean, my god, I was so upset. Eventually, they couldn't keep paying the bills, and I told them that they had to leave. So I fixed the property up and I put it on Airbnb. Fast forward to about 6 months ago, and my brother finally decided to move back home with my dad after years of living in his car and all this other stuff. And now he's 28 years old. My dad had an old car that he wasn't really using, and so he decided to spend about $2,000 to fix it up and gift it to my brother so that he would have a fresh start and a way to get to work. And I kid you not, 2 days later, he got drunk and crashed into a house, with the car being completely totaled. Like, this guy has to go to trial and all this other stuff. He has no respect for my parents, he constantly lies, and overall is just not the best person. During Christmas, when I was visiting my dad's place, I mentioned selling my old car. Well, he said that he would buy it from me, but I just ignored him. When we got home, I told this to my boyfriend, and he starts saying that I would probably only get about $1,000 for it, and it's better to just keep it in the family if anything else. He then said that I should ship it to my dad's place, who is several states away, so that my brother can use it. And if I'm being completely honest, I think this is absurd. First of all, my dad bought the car for me and not the family, and I also really need the money right now, and my boyfriend's not paying my bills. He said he regrets selling his first car and wishes that he kept it. But I don't care, and I don't think my brother deserves yet another handout, especially from me. I really should be able to do what I please with my car without being guilt-tripped. So am I the jerk here? Because right now I just don't know if I'm in the wrong. Okay, based on what you're describing, there's no way I would ever give this guy your car, because I think that's just a bad idea. This guy clearly doesn't appreciate the gifts that he's given, and chances are he's probably just going to destroy this one as well. So no, you're not the jerk for not wanting to give him your car, or for even trying to keep it in the family, which is a stupid thing to do in my opinion, because you know for a fact your brother's just going to take advantage of it and not appreciate it, and that is not fair for you in the slightest. Am I overreacting by being upset at my boyfriend? As my boyfriend is so upset that I can fix things around the house, but he can't. And even though he's never said that to me specifically, it honestly is coming off that way, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. So we've been together for 2 years and living together for the last 4 months. Now, for a bit of context for this story, our fuel tank ran bone dry. We live in the deep north and rely on fuel for our heat. So I called in a favor and I got our tank filled. My boyfriend put on his overalls, grabbed a multi-tool, and went into the basement to light the furnace. He went up and down the stairs a few times over an hour before sitting at the table just to eat some food. I even overheard him calling a friend asking them to come by with a wrench. Well, I grab a socket and the bit and I quietly sneak downstairs. The fuel's been out for a couple of months at most, and basically, long story short, I bled the line intermittently in between light ignitions until she ran clear. No air, no foam, well, no brainer. After 5 minutes, he came downstairs and says that his buddy is on his way with a wrench and says that I'm doing it wrong and bleeding too much. But it's like, oh, okay, sorry for being extra careful to not flood the pump, buddy. I then just keep doing what I'm doing, and after a couple of minutes, I close the valve and press the button, and eventually she fires up. He then said to me, "You didn't want to try it my way," and then storms off. And then last week, my truck pan heater plug snapped. It literally just broke at the plug end from the sheer cold. But he said that he wanted to look after this for me since I've been so busy. Well, 2 days later, and he said it can't be fixed and that I need to book with a mechanic. I then woke up early on December 24th, and I snuck out to the hardware store to grab a plug end. And you know what? I finished the work in 20 minutes in negative 40 degrees Celsius weather. When I shared with him what I did, I was so excited. I'm pretty handy, but that generally doesn't fall until electrical-based work. When I told him what I did, he responded with so much disdain. He said to me, "Oh, good, I was going to do that. I just didn't have the wire snippers." Meanwhile, I was happy to do it, and I thanked him for at least trying. Now, his reaction actually hurt me and put a damper on the Christmas morning. I told him the following day that as much as I appreciate his willingness, I don't need him to do these acts of service, and it actually hurts me when he diminishes my skills or just doesn't even ask me for advice or tools when he's trying to accomplish something. Like, why are you calling a friend for? Your girlfriend, the apparent love of your life and best friend, is just a spit away. And you're in luck, buddy, she's a pretty decent hand. In the last 4 months, there have been so many instances just like this. The bathroom exhaust fan, the garage door opener, the lawnmower, the iron gate, etc. And there's more than this, but I just can't remember them all. Every time it's the exact same. He tries to fix things of his own volition, doesn't ask for help, and we are way beyond soft gestures of recommendations, and instead just takes a dump on the bed and stomps around about it. I've tried to work collectively with him too, but it's always so chaotic. He's always making it so personal and taking it so personally. It's not that deep. Information and resources are universal. I just don't get it. And it's not cute. Like, I'm actually starting to become really resentful. Like, why can't he embrace the part of me that is a half grease monkey handy woman? I'm not spending the rest of my life or the rest of my lease pretending to be something I'm not, sneaking around to hardware stores and walking around on eggshells just so I don't destroy his masculinity or whatever. So am I overreacting right now? Because seriously, I don't know what to do. Okay, this is one of those scenarios where clearly he feels emasculated, and this is absolutely not the original poster's fault. Like, holy crap, if I had a girlfriend who could do like mechanical work like that, I would never complain. Dude, I can't do any of that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, absolutely you can handle it. Like, honey, I will absolutely hold the flashlight for you. Give me a second. Like, this guy's clearly jealous that you're better at this stuff than he is. And instead of like admitting it, or at least like passing it off to you and being like, hey, you can handle it, or like, hey, show me how to do it, he wants to act weird about it, and like there's just no reason for that. So no, you're not overreacting. This guy's being a giant baby, and this is not your problem. Am I overreacting for not letting my father stay with us anymore after he woke my daughter up at 1 in the morning just so she could make him a plate of food? Because right now I am very furious and very pissed off, as my father literally refuses to apologize, saying that he shouldn't have to apologize to kids and that he doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong, putting me and the rest of my family in this really awkward position because right now I seriously just don't know what to do anymore. Here's what's happening. Okay, to start things out, I have 3 kids. I have a girl and twin boys. My dad is in his 60s and he's been staying with us because his pensioner apartment was found to have lead in it. And I just need to say that I'm not sure if you have these in the United States or in Europe. They're these like small subsidized senior units for people who've worked certain types of jobs, just for a bit of context. Now, he will likely not be able to go back until like the middle of February. It's also important to note that my dad is very grouchy. Having him around can be really stressful, but we managed through Christmas. In fact, the kids had a really great time with him after dinner. But then last night happened. And it's important to know for this next part that I'm a really light sleeper, but at around 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard loud banging in the hallway, and it sounded urgent. I thought one of my kids was hurt or something like that. So I jumped out of bed and I got out there. It even woke my husband up. Well, when I went out there, I found my dad standing outside my 17-year-old daughter's room banging on her door. I asked him what he was doing, and he said he was trying to wake her up so she could heat up some Christmas leftovers for him. Now, when I heard this, I got very upset because I thought after having to stay with us and sharing Christmas so beautifully, he would at least be less entitled than his usual self. I told him he cannot simply wake my kids up for something like that. Now, my dad is a very traditional man, whatever that means. Ever since my mom and him separated, my sisters and I have joked that he would starve to death with food in the fridge. He genuinely believes he does not need to do anything around the house. So, of course, he was very upset when I told him no. I told him just come to the kitchen and serve himself the leftovers from the containers in the fridge. But I told him he could just microwave it himself. And sure, he did it, but he was still very annoyed. Now, this morning, I expected him to say sorry to my daughter, but he said he doesn't need to apologize to children. But when he said that, I told him that he needed to leave. I told him he had to call one of my sisters because he would not be staying here. My daughter later told me that the reason he was banging on the door was because she had already opened the door, said no to what he asked, and then locked the door. Now, my sisters are angry with me because none of them want to take him in. They live much farther away, and so they just don't want to drive to pick him up. My mom also lives with one of my sisters, so that is also another problem. I'm now writing this at 11 o'clock p.m. the next night after a bad phone call with my mom. He left close to 6 o'clock p.m. to visit a friend and has not come back since. And while I am worried, I also just don't want him here. My mom is mad that I let him leave to some place that we don't know, but also doesn't want me to drop them off with them. So am I being overdramatic here? He was being nice and complaining less before this. Should I call him up and bring him back home? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I think your dad absolutely needs to move out. If you're gonna be living under someone else's roof, then you need to follow their rules. I don't care what it is. And basic respect and human decency absolutely is one of them. Does this guy really expect someone to wake up at 1 in the morning and heat up some food for him in the microwave? Like, are you kidding me right now? That is so easy to do. Like, this is so stupid. This guy really thinks he's entitled to all the women bending over hand and foot just to like make sure he's taken care of. And that is so bizarre to me. I don't understand that, and it's like, dude, you really can take care of yourself. You don't need a woman to wake up in the middle of the night and feed you just because you're a traditional man. Which I don't know about you, but there's nothing traditional about that. If anything, it's oppressive and incredibly rude. So no, you didn't overreact. I would be kicking this guy out as well. Because anybody who's gonna disrespect my family members like that absolutely needs to take a hike and get a better attitude or find some other place to live. Because you're doing this guy a huge favor, and in my opinion, if he can't act right, then I agree, it is absolutely time for him to go. My neighbor legitimately thinks that I'm running a theft ring, and this is all based on the fact that I get a lot of deliveries throughout the day for my small business. Things got so bad that even upper management of the building I live in came in to check on me as they got complaints about suspicious activity, putting me in a situation that honestly feels so personal that I just don't know what to do now. Here's what's going on. Okay, for starters, I work from home and I order supplies for my small business online, meaning that I get packages like 3 or 4 times a week. This is normal stuff, by the way. We're talking things like shipping materials, product supplies, and the occasional personal items. Now, my neighbor recently approached me in the hallway and asked me what these packages were all about. I then explained I run an online store and he just nods suspiciously. I think to myself, okay, weird, but whatever. Then last week, building management knocked on my door saying that they got a complaint about suspicious activity in my unit. They literally asked if they could come in and look around, but I said no, because that felt like a violation of my privacy, and thankfully they seemed understanding. Well, I found out yesterday from another neighbor that this guy has been telling people in the building that he thinks I'm stealing packages and reselling them. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me right now? Everything I order has my name on it. It comes directly to my apartment, and I have a literal business license. I then confront him about it, and he just said to me, it just seems suspicious that you get so many deliveries, and that people should be careful. I showed him my business Instagram with 15,000 followers, and he literally said to me, oh, that could be fake. Well, in response to this, I reported him to management for harassment, but they said unless he's directly threatening me, there's nothing they can do about it. So at this point, I'm so angry. Like, can someone please tell me I'm not being unreasonable here? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, holy crap, that is so annoying. This guy literally is one of those people who just can't mind their own business, and instead of just walking past these packages that show up at your house, he tries to act like, oh, you're doing something illegal in there, I just know it. Like, what a busybody and what a weirdo. So no, you're not doing anything wrong, you are not unreasonable here, because from the sounds of it, your neighbor's being very rude, and I just would hate to deal with that. An entitled Karen demands to know why I'm banning her kids from the water park, stating that they did nothing wrong, despite the fact that they were literally putting other people in danger. So after I told her that her kids were banned from my park, she decided to start screaming in my face, claiming that they did nothing wrong, forcing me to put this Karen in her place in a way that she will never forget. Here's what happened. To start things out, I'm a lifeguard at a water park, and I deal with Karens a lot. But recently, I was actually promoted to head guard, which is basically a manager position, and now I'm dealing with a whole new ballpark. And this situation is something that happened today. I worked a 14.5-hour shift, so I saw a lot, but nothing pissed me off more than this. I started the day with the basic head guard stuff, starting the water up, writing down the guard rotation, etc. We open at 9 o'clock like we usually do, and it was good until about 10 o'clock, specifically 10:12 in the morning. A family came in consisting of a mom, a dad, a young daughter, and 3 teenage boys, all about 17 to 18 years old. Well, immediately the boys were trouble from my guards. I got at least 10 complaints about them, but they were all staggered out. They were going from one half to a different half every time they'd get in trouble because there's no communication between halves. Regardless, it reached its tipping point at about 4 o'clock, just into the second shift. I also need to add that I am infamous among the staff for the way I deal with Karens, entitled kids, and rude people, meaning that I have zero tolerance. Now, I heard a long, loud double whistle while checking the cameras in the first aid room, and that means one of 3 things: either accident, injury, or attention. I headed over to see a fuming mother screaming at one of my guards, in fact, one of my friends from when I was a normal guard, so I was immediately on edge with this one. I came up and I asked her, can I help you with something? And that's when this entitled Karen starts mouthing off at me. She says to me, yes, this jerk right over here. Only trust me, she didn't say jerk. So I interrupted her and I said, let's watch our language, please. After an exasperated sigh, the Karen continued by saying, this guard banned my son and his friends from this slide for no reason. Well, I looked over and it was them, the thorns in my side. I say out loud, oh, I see. I then look to the lifeguard and I say to them, watch your water, I can handle this. I then turn back to the entitled Karen. I say to her, "Ma'am, I'm gonna be honest with you. Your son and his friends aren't banned from the slide." It was then that the entitled Karen tried to jump in and say something, but I raised my hand and continued. I said to them, "They're banned from the park." And when I said that, she absolutely exploded. She questioned why this was happening and why that was happening, calling me a jerk and all this other stuff, and basically giving me the works. Eventually, she calmed down and said to me, "Why? They haven't done anything wrong." But I responded by saying, "Actually, they've broken nearly every rule we have and have been causing problems literally all day." This entitled Karen then says, "Well, what have they really done? What could they have possibly done?" But I interrupted her by saying, "Well, they've endangered themselves, other people, and my lifeguards with their reckless behavior." Now, this Karen started getting frankly enraged. She said to me, "And how have they been endangering people?" And at this point, I started to get worked up too. I said to her, "They've gone down every slide the wrong way, jumped out halfway down, they've nearly hit people while playing dodgeball with the basketballs, which is against the rules anyway, and I have guards posted at the bottom of every slide. Them coming out incorrectly endangers my guards. They easily could have given themselves and nearly everyone around them concussions or worse, broken bones. They need to leave." The entitled Karen then says to me, "Well, we paid for a room for 2 nights." But I responded, feeling increasingly angry, that this isn't my problem. I said to her, "You, your husband, and your daughter can all stay and enjoy the park. Your boys, however, have to leave. They can either be taken home by one of you, or they can stay in their room for the rest of the night." Now, this entitled Karen was flabbergasted and tried to regain some kind of control. But before she could even get started, I shut her down. I said to her, "Ma'am, I don't know what gave you the impression this was a debate. You are in no position to argue, you are in a position to comply. So if they don't leave in the next 10 minutes, they will be removed." She stood there for a moment in shock, then got uppity and went to the hot tub. So I decided she isn't getting the 10 minutes if she wasn't going to use them. I then took out my walkie-talkie and said, "Head guard to security desk, code yellow." And that's the code for guest removal. They came in, we found the kids, we took them to their parents, and then escorted them to their rooms while they were all still drying themselves off. Now, I may have been a bit of a jerk, I'm not gonna lie, but she was being combative and I had other more important things to do. Because of her, I was late for my chemical check, so I was really done with the entire situation. On top of that, she called my friend and employee an awful name, and that in my book absolutely doesn't slide. Oh man, I love the way you handled this. That Karen really thought she could get off with just being like rude and obnoxious, and she thought that she could just like get around all of the punishment she deserved by just getting in your face and screaming at you. Like, that is so stupid, and I cannot stand people who act like this. So good for you for standing your ground and putting her in her place, because this Karen absolutely deserved it. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My boyfriend has an irritating alarm problem that is quite literally ruining our relationship, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. He moved into my home about 3 months ago, and I've been really struggling with his sleep behaviors. I sleep poorly most of the time, I am a light sleeper, and I need a carefully concocted layout of pillows to be comfortable. I can set one alarm to wake me up and get up straight away. I work a 3-week rolling shift, working different days each week, including a full weekend every 3 weeks. It's mostly 9 to 5 working from home, but 2 days per week I work 10 to 11-hour days away from home. A normal night's sleep for me is about 5 hours, and a really good night is about 7 to 8 hours. And sometimes a really bad night's sleep can be anything as low as an hour to even 90 minutes. In contrast, my partner works Monday through Friday 8 to 4, and he has every weekend off. He works just 5 minutes from home and can leave for work at 7:50 in the morning. But the alarms he has set up, well, for the love of God, they drive me insane. He sets alarms to get up and shower before work. It's one at 6:20 in the morning, and then another at 6:30 in the morning, 6:40, 6:50, and then 7. He then sometimes decides not to shower that morning and will set an alarm at 7:30 in the morning and go straight back to sleep. The problem is that his 6:20 alarm goes off and that wakes me up. So then I'll sit and listen to every alarm going off for the next 40 minutes, and it seriously is so demoralizing. Meanwhile, the weekends are then the other side of this. He simply will not get up. If I do not drag him out of bed, he will stay asleep until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he gets frustrated that he's not up sooner, but then seems to make very little effort to change it. So right now I have so many problems. For starters, my sleep is suffering in the week. I'm not getting enough sleep for work, and I'm regularly sleeping on the couch so that I don't have to deal with his alarms, even though he has them so loud and leaves them running for ages, so I hear them anyways, and I end up having to walk upstairs to tell him to turn them off. He knows his alarms disturb me, and we've talked about it before, but nothing seems to change. I also have to wake him up in stages at the weekend. I start with a gentle nudge, and then make sure he's sat up, and then make sure he's on his phone, and then encourage him with a brew or breakfast. I've told him it's like dealing with a toddler. He was embarrassed by this and agreed that it's not acceptable. And yet here we still are. I've expressed that I feel he doesn't respect my need for sleep either, and he just keeps apologizing. Essentially, he gets a lot of sleep, and I get very little. And it's coming between us as I'm starting to resent him for it. What should I do? Okay, first of all, setting multiple alarms like that is super selfish, especially when you're sharing a bed with somebody. This guy is literally in his late 20s, by the way. There's no reason he can't wake himself up and not have his girlfriend be disturbed in the process. So this truly falls on his shoulders and not the other way around. He sounds incredibly lazy and entitled, and he has basically made you his mom instead of his partner. So hopefully your boyfriend can see exactly the way he's acting and treat you with some semblance of respect, because this behavior, in my opinion, is entirely unacceptable. My boyfriend wants me to quit my job and rely on him to go travel the world together, as his job allows him to work anywhere. But right now, I don't know if I'm being naive or if I'm making a good decision, because at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm an airline's cabin crew and I live in Dubai. I have a great life here, but the job isn't as glamorous as you'd imagine. However, I am still quite content. I've been with my boyfriend for a year now, and he is keen for me to quit and go travel the world with him, since what he does for work, he can do anywhere. He wants to experience as many places as possible. He stayed here through the summer last year for me, which, if anyone knows, Dubai is actually a nightmare because of the heat, and has said that he won't do it next year. The whole thought of relying on someone honestly scares me, and he has said he will give me a year's salary as sort of insurance for me because he knows I'm apprehensive. His job isn't exactly the most legit job ever, so there is some risk involved. Despite his job, my family really like him, but they are also worried for me. I'm really stuck between the idea of living my life to the fullest as much as I can, or doing the sensible, not as fun thing and stay here alone. What should I do? Oh boy, this is unbelievably scary because there is no way I would take that guy up on his offer. First of all, this guy gave you a subtle ultimatum where he said you either move away with him and travel the world, or else he's basically gonna break up with you next year. Sure, he could do his job anywhere, but he stuck around for you apparently. And that for me is incredibly weird. Who in their right mind would be like, hey, quit your job, let's travel the world. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Like, what is going on right now? I would never hand my life over to someone else like that. You better make sure that guy is the one and you really do want to spend time with him like that. Otherwise, you would quite literally be stuck with this guy. Everything you do would be reliant on him, and seriously, that just doesn't sound fun. Because what's the plan if this guy turns out to be a massive jerk and you have no way of getting back home? Like, that in and of itself just does not sound like a good time, and that is definitely not something I would ever agree to. So no, in my opinion, I think it would be a terrible idea to do that because the risk is absolutely way too high. Am I the jerk for leaving my mom's place after seeing how absolutely messy and disgusting it was? Because right now I'm feeling guilty for not talking to her about it, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So growing up, our house was always messy as my mom has a hoarding problem. There were always cardboard boxes in the living room, junk absolutely everywhere, and there were always dishes in the sink. Over time as I grew up, I realized that this isn't normal, especially as I inherited these habits, which led to roommate conflict with me being messy when I went to college, and these are habits that I'm actively trying to correct. That being said, my mom just moved from a 3-bedroom down to a 1-bedroom apartment, and this is because my sister and I have moved to college, and I was thinking that this would be a great idea, a chance for her to start fresh. I wasn't going to fly home for Thanksgiving originally, but she told me that she needed help moving, so I came. And trust me when I say this, that week was a nightmare. My room had become a storage unit for the past few years since I left, and it was filled to the brim with random boxes of junk. The garbage was even worse, as we had to rent a U-Haul and drive it to the dumpster 4 times just to throw away boxes of paper from 20 years ago, not to mention the broken furniture and the random junk. It was a constant fight of me convincing her she doesn't need all of this, and we have to throw some of it away. We ended up running out of time to finish it, all before I had to leave, but we made enough progress that I figured she would be alright. We got everything she was going to keep already in the new place. We also set up the furniture, but left a few boxes left that she needed to unpack. The main thing left to do was to clean out the old garage and throw all of that into the dump. Now, she promised that when I got back, the apartment is going to look great, as we spent so much time talking about where furniture would be, as well as decorating the walls and all of that. Well, fast forward and I come home for Christmas, and she picks me up from the airport with my bag, and I finally get home. and oh my god, it was a nightmare. It was just like the old house. It was filled with crap from the garbage to the brim. There are pathways that go from the door to each room, and everything else is filled with stuff. The kitchen is nasty, it smells like dog urine, and I honestly can't handle it. So I walked out immediately without saying anything. I had a drink at a bar down the street, and then I called my girlfriend, and I went back just to grab my bag after she fell asleep, and then I drove to my dad's house to stay there. I haven't spoken to her since then, and I'm not sure when I'm planning on doing it either. My whole childhood, I rarely had friends over. We also rarely held family events. Living in that mess really messed with my mental state more than I realized at the time, and because of this, I tend to be messier than average, but I am doing everything possible in my power to not be like her. Whenever I visit home for the past few years since I moved away, I never spent the night there because of this. So seriously, am I the jerk for leaving without saying anything? Because right now I don't know what to do. Oh man, there's no way you're the jerk because this is unacceptable. Your mom clearly has a problem that she cannot solve on her own. And the fact that she destroyed that house literally within just a few months of actually getting it, like that is not okay, and there's no way I would ever want to sleep in that environment. So no, I don't blame you for leaving without saying anything, because I'm pretty sure your mom already knows that what she's doing is absolutely gross. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. Today, I messed up by practically ruining my relationship with my family, and I'm honestly at a point where I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. To start things out, I'm 17 years old, and I can't stop making problems that I feel are ruining my family. Today, I got into a second car accident, and after having even more of my stupid decisions thrown in my face, I'm starting to realize just how much of a nuisance I am. My family has had issues almost my entire life. My parents never really got along, and they were pretty young when they got together, especially my dad. Throughout my childhood, I was blissfully ignorant to the many various issues my parents had. They separated about a decade ago, and they still are not on good terms. I stayed with my mom after they separated, and I would see my dad every weekend. And it truly stayed like that for years. I thought I adapted to the whole thing well, but that was probably because I don't know what to do now. My parents' separation was extremely messy, and I'm still finding out more to this day. The biggest issues were that my mom was extremely spiteful, and for years tried all kinds of stuff to get my dad locked up, and my older sister even helped out a few times as well. So fast forward some years and I'm older, and I'm now finding out more about everything that went down. All kinds of schemes my mom cooked up, and the worst one was probably when her and my older sister tried to falsely accuse my dad of something really bad. And you could probably guess what that is, but I don't feel like spelling that out. It really just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I love my family more than anything, and I guess since I only found out about all the horrible stuff kind of recently, I guess it just hasn't set in yet, since my opinion of my sister and mother hasn't really changed, and I don't know why, and maybe something is just wrong with me. I still keep in contact with my mom, and I visit my sister every once in a while. I also love my dad and my stepmother a lot too. I end up having to lie to everyone too, since they all want to tell me things and then tell me not to tell anybody else. But I'm a horrible liar. I lie and then I watch as they see through it, and I'm left feeling like an awful son or brother. Now, with a car accident, I'm realizing how much of a problem I am. I've done nothing but do some chores around the house for them and give them some money for my car insurance and to help out with the bills, but it isn't much. I've done barely anything, yet they support me, and I'm causing them problems. I'm costing them money and time that they can't get back. I made the stupidest choices, and for some reason, I didn't let them know right away. All I can really do now is hope that the guy was as nice as he seemed and let my dad handle it while I sit here writing this crap out and just feel pathetic. This year has been absolute garbage, and everything is falling apart, and I don't know what to do anymore. Who knows, maybe I'm just exaggerating my issues and feeling like garbage over nothing, but I feel like I'm causing more problems than I'm worth these days. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, you are not a problem in your family, and honestly, I think you're being way too hard on yourself. You've not ruined your relationship with your family. If anything, they're putting you in awful situations, and it seems like you're on the outside looking in on them doing horrible things, namely your mom and your sister. Like, I don't know what they tried to falsely accuse your father of, but my God, that is not a normal thing that anybody should do. Like, that's not even outside the norm of any kind of family dynamic, even if your parents are separated. What they tried to do was vindictive and malicious. They tried to ruin your dad's life over something that didn't happen. Like, that's horrible, and I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. Now, when it comes to you saying that you're worthless and you feel pathetic and you feel like you're causing problems, seriously, you haven't done anything wrong. Sure, you feel like a failure because you got in a car accident, but I guarantee you that's not the end of the world. You have insurance for a reason. Like, this is totally gonna be fine, because at the end of the day, these people have made you their personal personal therapist as a teenager, which you don't deserve in the slightest. And just because you can't lie very well doesn't make you a bad person. If anything, it means that maybe these people need to find someone else to confide in instead of their younger son or brother. So please, don't be so hard on yourself, you're doing just fine, and I'm really optimistic that things will get better sooner than later, because it sounds like your mom and sister are really causing problems in your life, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. Today, I messed up by trying to prank my roommate, and as a result, accidentally traumatizing the entire apartment complex, because now I feel like an idiot and I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened last night, and I think I might need to move out of the country. My roommate, let's call him Dan, is the king of pranks. He's been pulling stuff on me for months, replacing my shampoo with mayonnaise, hiding fake spiders in my bedroom. I mean, you name it and he's probably done it. Well, I finally decided it was time to get some revenge. The plan was simple. I would sneak into Dan's room after he went to bed, set up my Bluetooth speaker under his bed, and play a terrifying scream sound at full volume at around 3 o'clock in the morning. He is a heavy sleeper, so I figured it would scare the crap out of him. At 3 in the morning, I was ready and I queued up the most horrifying scream that I could find on YouTube. We're talking Exorcist level demonic screech. Well, here's the thing when I hit the play button. I didn't anticipate it, but I accidentally connected the wrong Bluetooth speaker, and that wrong speaker was connected to the apartment complex shared lounge system, and the volume was set to max. So instead of scaring Dan, I ended up broadcasting demonic screams to the entire building in the middle of the night. People freaked out, and I even heard someone yelling, "We're being attacked." Doors were slamming, babies were crying, dogs were barking. I mean, it was absolute chaos. Eventually, Dan woke up and ran out of his room to find me sitting on the floor panicking, trying desperately to disconnect my phone. At this point, the building fire alarm went off because someone thought the screams meant there was some kind of fire. We all ended up outside in our pajamas at about 3:15 in the morning, and guess who was standing there looking incredibly guilty? Because if you guessed me, you would have guessed right. The building manager eventually showed up furious, demanding to know who was messing with the sound system. I tried to play dumb, but Dan, being the prank king that he is, loudly said, "Oh, I think they were just testing out their demon summoning skills." So now everyone in the building thinks I'm some kind of sleep-deprived demon lord, and I honestly now don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, this is absolutely hilarious because, my god, you not only did not prank Dan, but you somehow pranked yourself in the process. Like, first of all, I think that's a hilarious prank, and I think with the right type of person, you really can pull that off. And from the sounds of it, Dan does seem like the type of person who can take exactly what he's dishing out. So sure, on that end, you messed up by broadcasting this to the entire building, because that really is awful. Like, I can only imagine how crazy that must have been. But let's talk about the tech support for that building real quick. Who in their right mind allowed anybody to hook up to that speaker? Like, yes, what you did is a mess up, but whoever set that sound system up, they're the biggest idiot on planet Earth. Like, why in the world would that not be password protected? Why is it that anybody can connect to that without any kind of problem? Like, that's crazy to me, and there's no good excuse for that. So sure, you did mess up by having the entire apartment complex turn against you, but also I think this is absolutely someone else's problem, because you should not have been able to connect to that speaker in the first place. My entitled psycho manager tried to frame one of my coworkers for stealing from the store, as he was making fake returns to our store just to cash out as much money as he possibly could. But thankfully, I helped turn the tables by clearing my coworker's name, resulting in this manager not only getting in trouble with management, but also getting arrested by the police. Here's what happened. Way back in the year 2000, I was this adorable, naive 19-year-old working retail at a picture framing place. The management of our little shop consisted of our manager Jenny, the assistant manager Nick, and me, the third key. And for those who don't know, a third key is literally that, a third person with the keys. I had the ability to open and close the store and act as manager on duty, but if Jenny or Nick was there, then I was just a regular employee. And also for reference, names have been changed to protect the not so innocent. Jenny was an amazing manager. She was middle-aged but really cool. She had had a lot of fun in the 70s and wasn't shy about telling us her hilarious stories. She was also kind of like the shop mom. She made cookies and was always very in tune with people's emotions. She always knew the right thing to say to make me feel better, and she was a fountain of real-world wisdom. Everybody loved her. She was also an artist, and her work was starting to pick up steam. That, combined with the onset of some health issues, made her decide that retail work just wasn't for her anymore. We were all really sad, but definitely understood. Now, Nick was just a college kid and definitely didn't want or really qualify to be promoted to manager, so corporate brought in a manager in training to work as a fourth member of the management. For the sake of the story, let's call him Steve. Steve was weird. He was a huge white guy that dressed in clothes that looked like they come right out of Bill Cosby's wardrobe. wardrobe, loud sweaters in Arizona heat. I was basically a golden retriever puppy and tried to chat with him while teaching him the ropes when it was my turn to have him shadow me, but he just wouldn't engage. And it's not only that, but he would stare at me while I worked, just sit in the office chair and stare. I tried to chalk it up with him just being awkward, but it was creepy. Even when I was trying to teach him something, he would barely interact. When he did talk, it was usually about how amazing he was at his last job and how low the pay was for managers in our company. And it's like, yeah, no kidding, it's retail. Okay, so on to the meat of my story. Remember when I said that Jenny was having issues with her health? She called me one Saturday afternoon when I was off and asked if I'd come in and fill for her. And of course I did. I ran down to the shop to relieve her. She was having a really bad day and I was happy to close for her. I also worked the next day on Sunday and the day after that on Monday. That Monday, our district manager came in while I was manager on duty, and it was there that we started chatting. Like I said, I was basically a chatterbox, so this wasn't unusual. He asked me how Steve was doing, and I tried to diplomatically tell the guy that Steve was a dud, using the example that on Saturday when I relieved Jenny, he had just sat in the office or wandered the floor the whole night. The district manager seemed a little startled, but not about the guy's behavior, but the fact that Jenny hadn't been in the store after 3:00 p.m. After being in our store for about 6 weeks, Steve started swapping out with another store in the neighboring city and acting as manager on duty by himself. And Steve was thrilled because he actually lived in this other city, and the rest of us just assumed that this was part of his training, but my God, were we completely wrong. It turns out there'd been a whole lot of shrink happening at our store, a huge uptick in people paying with a credit card and then coming back later and getting a cash refund. Back then, if you did a return on a credit card or a debit card, it took a few days for the money to show back up on your bank account. If people got mean about it, we could do a cash refund, but it had to be approved by a member of the management by signing in with a register code and using their key. Well, we come to find out that thousands of dollars worth of returns were being done in cash multiple times a day, whereas before we would have maybe 1 or 2 a week. And what's even worse is that it appeared that Jenny was the one doing all these returns. They seemed to think that Jenny was taking all she could get before she retired. That is, until I told the district manager about filling in for Jenny. Apparently, a very large credit card transaction, namely $750, had been returned that night at around 7:00 p.m., and Jenny's code was the one used. When I said that she wasn't even there, in my own naive way, I kinda saved her. It turns out that Jenny had just given Steve her register code to train him because it took a few days for him to get his own, all because of some computer glitch at corporate. After my offhand remark, they took a closer look at our old schedule on paper, as the management team didn't clock in or out, and they realized that half these returns were happening on days when Jenny wasn't even there. So they switched Steve to the store in the other city, which had a better surveillance system, and caught him using another employee's code to try and pull the same trick, as well as just flat out pulling cash from the till. I'm not sure what the actual charges were, but from what I heard, he was very startled when he showed up to work to find the district manager, as well as 2 sheriff detectives waiting in the other store's office for him. I mean, he was literally perp walked out in handcuffs, and I was so upset that they didn't do it in our store. Jenny ended up leaving shortly after. The stress was just too much for her. Nick was made temporary manager, and he and I split opening and closing duties for a couple of months, with me mostly opening and him closing the store. Then we finally got a new manager who'd been entirely trained at other stores. And sure, he was okay, but he was no Jenny. But thankfully, he was no Steve either, which in my opinion is a massive win. Wow, this guy's a massive piece of garbage. Not only was he stealing from the store, but he tried to throw Jenny under the bus. And I can completely see this happening. I'm sure Jenny was just trying to be nice and be like, look, just use my code for training, it's totally fine. And I'm sure she had some semblance of trust towards Steve by being like, oh, it's okay, he's not gonna screw me over, right? I mean, thank God for the original poster for literally like clearing Jenny's name right there on the spot, even though they didn't realize that's what they were doing. Because people like Steve make me sick. And the fact that he would try and throw someone else under the bus, literally right on the verge of them retiring, in my opinion, is one of the scummiest things he could possibly do. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for not giving my younger brother my gaming console, all because he broke his previous one, and I don't completely trust him by having mine? Here's what happened. Okay, so I have a younger brother who we will call Jack, who is notorious for being careless with his belongings. Last year, my parents got him a PlayStation 5 and he was thrilled, but unfortunately, he never took care of it properly. He would leave it on the floor, toss the controller around, and spill snacks everywhere while playing. A couple of weeks ago, he spilled soda all over the console and it stopped working. My parents told him he wouldn't get a new one because it was his responsibility to take care of it. And ever since then, he's been begging to use my Xbox Series X, but I've said no every single time. Here's the thing. I worked a summer job and I saved up to buy my Xbox. I take excellent care of it because I paid for it myself. Jack got his PlayStation as a gift, so I feel like he didn't value it the same way that I value mine. Well, now Jack is calling me selfish and unfair, and my parents are actually split on this. My dad says that I'm right because it's my console, and I shouldn't have to share it if I don't want to, but my mom thinks that I'm being too harsh on him, and that I should help him out because he's just a kid. I don't trust him to not damage my Xbox, and I think it's a good lesson for him to learn about consequences. But still, my mom and Jack keep trying to guilt trip me, and I'm now starting to wonder, am I the jerk for refusing to let him use my gaming console? Because right now, I don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk at all because I don't blame you. He clearly does not care about the things around him because he literally destroyed his previous console by spilling soda on it. Like, first of all, how do you let that happen? But also, your parents got it right before they flip-flopped. This was his responsibility to take care of it, and he should have been more responsible with his belongings. So for him to come to you and be like, oh, please, give me your Xbox, I want to play on it. It's like, no, you're not taking it, this is mine, and I'm not going to let you destroy this as well. So no, you're not the jerk, and I honestly would try to make efforts to hide that Xbox from your brother, or even just make sure that he doesn't have access to it, because clearly he is irresponsible, and I wouldn't be surprised if he destroyed your property as well. Am I the jerk for not going on family vacation 2 months after giving birth? Because right now, my family's making me feel horrible for backing out, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, in May, my husband's parents planned a huge family beach vacation for his grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary for next summer, and we had 100% planned on going. However, we found out in September that we are expecting a baby, and the due date is about 2 months before the trip. So I told my in-laws that we will not be able to go on the trip, as I don't want to travel with a 2-month-old baby across the country, and that we also could not afford to take an extra week off of work because I will not have a paid maternity leave. Well, his mom is very frustrated with me because they were planning on having me and my husband drive his grandparents down with us, which as a side note, we were never told about, by the way, and according to them, a baby is completely fine to travel 700 miles after 2 months. When I bring up my concerns about not being able to afford to live, she'll say to me, well, let's just hope he's born a week or 2 late, which I think that's kind of crappy to hope for. My husband is completely on my side, and his siblings and cousins are mixed. Some of them are saying that we should honor our commitment to go because we said we would before we knew, while others are more understanding of our concerns. So am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. No, you're not the jerk. These people are complete idiots. Anyone who's seriously saying, wow, what's the problem here? It's only 700 miles of traveling for a 2-month-old. Like, that's insane. That really is not fair for you. Also, it sounds like they only want you to go so you can drive your grandparents. And that is like, oh wow, so you only want me to go so you can use me for transportation. So to me, it sounds like they're more upset that you're not going because they need a ride for the grandparents, as opposed to you being there because they want you there, which in my opinion is way worse. Like, that alone would have been a deal breaker, especially with them not telling you beforehand. Like, are you kidding me? You're already driving 700 miles, let alone with a 2-month-old in the car, and now they want to add 2 more people in there just for the heck of it and be like, oh yeah, you'll drive them too, right? Like, that is crazy to me, and there's no way I would ever put up with that. So I don't blame you for not going, because the way your family's acting is incredibly shady. Am I the jerk for not buying my sister a Christmas gift, all because she lost or sold my expensive gloves and refuses to replace them? Because right now I'm out about $250, and I seriously now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I live in a part of Canada that gets very cold. We're talking negative 40 degrees Celsius or even colder. I often work outside and I love to ski, and I will work in negative 40 degrees Celsius and ski in the cold up to negative 30 degrees Celsius. Therefore, I bought some gloves that cost $250 that are graded for negative 50 degrees Celsius a few years ago. Now, I had moved to a place for a year where I didn't need my cold gear, so I left it at my parents'. Well, my sister called to ask me if she could use these gloves to shovel the walks. I initially said no because it would take 10 minutes and it's only negative 10 degrees Celsius, but she screamed at me, so I reluctantly agreed. Well, I came home for Christmas and the gloves are missing. And keep keep in mind, I haven't been home since she used them. She's now moved away, and I called her up asking her where they are. She said that she put them back, but they're not there. I asked if she had any other ideas of where they might be, and it was then that she screamed at me and said no, while also telling me to F off and that she put them back. I tore apart my room and I checked every nook and cranny in the house, but to no avail, including my sister's room. And guess what? She also had a breakdown about that over the phone when I said this. Now for context, my sister has a bad history of stealing things or selling off our things and then denying it. She has stolen much of my mom's things and many of mine, and we're talking stuff like jewelry and clothing. In fact, when I was looking in her room for my gloves, I actually found the family laptop that had gone missing that she denied taking, and about 5 articles of my clothes. When she steals, sells, or loses things of ours, she always goes straight to screaming at us. Both of my parents said they're 100% sure my sister is the reason they're gone. My dad said he thinks that she stole them because he saw the same pair on Facebook Marketplace a while back, but didn't care to check the posting name at the time because no one knew they were missing. My mom says that she saw her take them from my room, but never saw her put them back in my room when she came back inside. Anyways, I replaced the gloves with the exact same model because I'm going to a place where I'll be working outside again in literally -40-degree weather. And by the way, this is up to 8 hours at a time. I also want to ski over Christmas and it is very cold. I need high quality gloves because I actually would get frostbite. When my parents asked what I got my sister for Christmas, I said that I got nothing because the money for her gift went towards replacing my gloves. Even though my family 100% agrees that she either lost or stole them, they're saying that I'm being a jerk and should apologize to my sister and buy her a gift. They're not making my sister apologize for selling or losing or even stealing them, and are instead going to gradually pay me back the $250 on my sister's behalf. So am I the jerk for not getting a Christmas gift from my sister? Because right now I'm still incredibly pissed off. Oh no, this is absolutely not okay with me because this is so crazy. She stole those gloves, like straight up, nobody can tell me otherwise. She took those out of your room and she never returned them. And I bet you all the money in the world she absolutely sold those on Facebook because the clues are all lining up. Apparently these people live in a small town, so the fact that anyone on Facebook Marketplace, you know, the store that literally is localized to where you live, would somehow have this exact same pair up for sale, in my opinion, is not a coincidence. Plus, there's plenty of evidence in your sister's stupid room that yes, she's been stealing all along. So if she really wants some kind of Christmas present, then she needs to start by returning the things that she's stolen, which of course is never gonna happen. Because honestly, I can't stand people who act like the sister in this story, because lying thieves like that, in my opinion, are truly the scum of the earth. My job has slowly worn me down, as I now find myself unable to smile and laugh like I used to. So right now, I'm worried that I might be very burned out at this job, because at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so maybe this is a weird one, but I've repeatedly noticed recently that I don't really come across as sweet and gentle as I used to when I started serving at this restaurant. When I started this job, I could never pick a fight with anyone. I was constantly very friendly and enthusiastic with my tables. But nowadays, in some ways, I am still the same. The sense of humor is similar, but it's not there as much. I'm always pleasant at tables, but even a man who comes in regularly told me recently on one of my shifts that I've lost my spark. The sense of humor or general character just is not there. I've noticed recently a lot more when I go into my shifts, I feel fine, but I can't smile as much as I used to and I don't have the desire for it. I've been told on multiple occasions I look a bit miserable and I need to smile more by either my manager or my coworkers. I honestly do not know what has happened. Admittedly, I've had a lot of mental health issues this year, which are probably contributing, but I enjoy my job. It's tiring, but it's sociable and the money is okay. I've noticed it even with my approach to people. I'm a lot more direct and firm with tables than usual, and this is the same with coworkers. Once upon a time, I would have found difficulty saying no to people and would have been a pushover, but nowadays, depending on the situation, I have no problem putting my foot down about something. I used to be gentle, sweet, very funny with tables, and now, while I will always be pleasant and try to have a laugh with the tables, I just can't find the core for the usual character. I sometimes have nights I just can't make conversations with anyone, and we're talking coworkers or tables. Once upon a time, I'd have tried to make an effort with everybody, but I'm honestly worried about what's going on. So seriously, what's happening with me? Am I just burned out or what? What should I do? Okay, honestly, as someone who has worked in restaurants before, this is not uncommon. Let me tell you something, you can only do so much. You deal with a lot of people all day, every day, and you do everything that you can to give them a good experience at the restaurant. But I can seriously say I've experienced the same thing that you're going through. You work a job so much and you do your very best, but eventually you hit a breaking point. gift, you get nothing in return, and it feels like, oh man, I just can't do this as well as I used to. So sure, you might be burned out just a little bit, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, and it might just be a sign that yes, you need to mix it up a little bit. Whether that's mixing up how you're going to work or what you're doing at work, or even how you approach thinking about the whole thing. Do you really need to be that guy that's constantly friendly and enthusiastic with every table, or trying to crack a joke or whatever? I understand if you're trying to do that to get better tips or something like that, but doing that for every table, that seems like a bit much. Because what I learned is if you can at least be somewhat neutral and cordial with your tables, then yeah, you're gonna have a good night and it's gonna be fine. You don't have to stretch yourself so much, and you can find some kind of middle ground where you can operate and do your job and still have some kind of positive feedback from customers and coworkers. So hopefully you can take some time off and figure things out, because honestly, I think the way you're feeling is completely normal, especially when you consider that you work in the restaurant industry, which in my opinion can be one of the most volatile industries on the face of the earth. Am I the jerk for not attending my family Christmas gathering, all because I can't afford the $250 white elephant gift exchange? Because right now my family is claiming that I'm overreacting and that I'm being petty for not being able to join in on this stupid exchange. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my family has a tradition where we do a big Christmas get-together every single year, and the highlight is the white elephant gift exchange. It's always been a fun time, but this year my family decided to raise the price limit to $250 per gift, and I'm honestly a little shocked. I get that inflation has hit, but that's a lot of money for one gift, especially for something that's supposed to be fun and quirky, not something super expensive or meaningful. I have a pretty tight budget this year, with unexpected medical bills and just general life expenses. After paying for all my bills and essentials, there's barely enough left for me to get by. The idea of spending $250 on a gift is totally unrealistic for me, and I'm expected to show up for the family dinner and festivities. I started feeling like I was being pushed out of the tradition because of my financial situation. I told her that honestly, if I can't participate in the gift exchange, then I might not come at all. I didn't want to be the person who has to sit awkwardly and watch everyone else exchange expensive gifts when I couldn't contribute. Plus, I didn't want to feel embarrassed about not meeting their expectations. Well, my mom thinks that I'm being petty and that it's just one gift. My dad then says I'm overreacting and that it's not about the price, it's about the spirit of Christmas, which to be fair, I do agree with, but still, $250? Are you kidding me? Some of my siblings are saying I should just suck it up and join in because it's about being together, while others are telling me they agree with me, but are still going to participate since the majority of the family agreed to this. There's approximately 18 to 25 people in my family that will be there, and we are still expected to get gifts for our family members as well. I really don't want to make a big scene or cause drama, but at the same time, I feel like this is a massive financial burden that's being placed on me, and I just don't know if it's worth it to show up and feel out of place. So seriously, am I the jerk if I decide to sit this one out? Because right now I feel very ostracized and I don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, I don't think you're the jerk, because $250 for a white elephant gift exchange? That is crazy to me. Maybe it's just me, but that seems like a really high limit for what you're gonna get for a gift. Because you said it best. This is supposed to be a fun time, right? You're supposed to give out funny, quirky gifts and just have a good time. Because the way they're explaining this kind of makes it seem like, oh yeah, we're gonna spend hundreds of dollars on this. And it's sure, maybe you can do that, but I can't. And trust me, I get it. Having all these bills racking up, especially medical bills in the United States, those expenses can be insane sometimes, and I don't blame you for being wait a second, I can't afford this. So when you say spending $250 on a gift exchange is totally unrealistic, trust me, I understand where you're coming from, and I don't blame you for not wanting to do this. Now, when it comes to your parents being oh wow, it's just one gift, you're being petty, you're overreacting right now, it's not about the price, it's about the spirit of Christmas. It's okay, come on, wait a second. If they really want you to be a part of this and you're explaining, hey, I can't do this, they can either be accepting and allow you to be there and not make a big deal out of it, or they can pitch in and be oh, okay, here's some money to buy something for the gift exchange. That would be reasonable. There's no reason they wouldn't be able to do that, especially if they're gonna jack up the price that much. If I'm doing a white elephant gift exchange, I'm gonna max out at $50 if that. So no, you're not the jerk for not wanting to attend the family Christmas get-together, because what they're asking of you, especially in your time of need, in my opinion, is a little bit absurd. An entitled Karen attacked me in the parking lot and steal what they thought was a brand new PlayStation 5 out of my trunk. But unfortunately for them, in a weird twist of fate, what they stole was filled to the brim with coal, as I had every intention of giving that as a gag gift. And I've honestly never felt better about getting back at somebody in my life. Here's what happened. So to give context, Every year, me and my wife do a Secret Santa where we find a family in need or going through a tough financial situation during the holidays, and we spread some holiday joy by buying the whole family Christmas gifts and surprising them with the gifts on Christmas Day. This year was a family that included a young boy that was a straight A student that really wanted a PlayStation 5, which I was going to surprise him with on Christmas Day. Another thing to note is that when I was gathering information on the family, I found out that they had a holiday tradition of doing gag gifts and pranks for Christmas, which was something I definitely was going to get in on. So my plan was simple. In addition to the PlayStation 5, I was going to find a separate PlayStation 5 box and make that the gag gift by filling it with a bunch of charcoal and putting a note on it that said "Psych" with a troll face on the note. After weeks of asking around, I found a buddy who had an empty PlayStation 5 box and was willing to give it to me. So I graciously accepted it and filled the box up with the charcoal bag and the note and put some extra filling in there to keep the charcoal from moving around. And now all that was left was to try and secure the real PlayStation 5. Now on to the meat of the story. I found a local game shop that had one PlayStation 5 left in stock, and I quickly went to go buy it. On my way out, I nearly collided with a rude, shrill lady with her husband who nearly hit me with the door as they opened it and pushed past me without even so much as an "excuse me." I mean, these people were really rude, but I decided to brush it off. I went to my car and I placed the new PlayStation 5 behind the driver's seat in my car. But before I left, I wanted to grab a Gatorade that I kept in a cooler inside the trunk. As I was grabbing it, I saw the lady from earlier with her husband in tow approaching me with a very brisk pace out of the corner of my eye. This entitled Karen said to me, "Hey, excuse me, sir." Now me, cautiously turning head to face her and her husband, I say to her, "Can I help you?" The husband says to us, "Are you the guy that bought the last PlayStation 5? Now me, silently cursing myself, I say to them, "Yes, that would be me." This entitled Karen looked at me and actually said, "Well, I need you to give me that PlayStation 5. We really need it." I responded by saying, "I'm sorry, but the PS5 is a charity gift for a Secret Santa that I'm doing." This Karen responded by saying, "Well, how about you be a Secret Santa to our kids and give us the system?" I responded by saying, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I can't do that." But her husband said, "Dude, you can easily find another one at another store or a pawn shop nearby." But after a second, I say to them, "So why don't you guys just do that?" It was then that this entitled Karen freaked out on me. She started screaming, "Our time is important. We can't waste it running around town to find another one." I responded by saying, "I'm sorry, but a lack of preparation on your part is not my problem." But before I could even finish, this entitled Karen cut me off. She said to me, "Oh, don't give me that BS." The husband then said to me, "Okay, listen, I have $200 in my pocket, and that is yours if you just give me the PS5. I then told him that it cost me $400, and this Karen looked at me and said, "For the love of God, just take the money." Now, before I could even finish by saying, "Sorry, that's not gonna happen," the husband gave me a very unexpected shove. Mind you, I'm a bigger guy, but this caught me way off guard. The shove knocked me to the pavement and knocked my glasses off my face. In the process of falling, I heard the husband say, "Grab the box," and I vaguely saw them reach into the trunk of my car and take the PS5 box. I scrambled to find my glasses and I put them back on to see the pair of them in full sprint across the parking lot towards their car. Well, I took off after them, but they managed to reach their car and get inside before I could catch up to them, and they sped off. I felt a mix of anger and shock at the gall of the couple to do what they did. A bystander came up to me to see if I was okay from the shove and offered to call the police. I was so upset that I wanted to call the cops myself and see if they could convince the store to look over any surveillance to see if they could get a plate number or something like that. Well, I opened my car door to get my phone when I saw nestled in my back seat the PlayStation 5 that I just bought with the receipt still in the bag. In my confusion, I opened the box for a sanity check just to see a brand new PlayStation 5 still in its wrapping. I sat there for a minute, dumbfounded to the whole situation. I clearly saw the couple make off with a PlayStation 5 box, but yet the one I just purchased is right in front of me. But then it hit me. The PS5 they took was the gag gift. When I realized this, I almost died laughing, much to the confusion of the bystander who checked on me. I explained the situation to him, and he laughed as well. He asked if I still wanted to call the police, to which I ultimately decided not to. It was a gag gift after all, and I saw no need to try and get it back. The whole ordeal led to another disappointment as I drove away. The fact that I won't be there to see the pair's reaction when their kid opens the dummy box to find a bag of charcoal and a troll face. And even better, they can't return anything because they stole it. And sure, I miss out on giving out a gag gift, but I will get to see the joy of giving Christmas cheer to a less fortunate kid. Oh wow, I can't believe someone actually did that to you. First off, I absolutely would have called the police in that story because seriously, there's no way I'm gonna let that slide. And sure, you got off kind of lucky with them stealing the gag gift, which by the way, I think that's that's hilarious. But for them to push you like that onto the ground, like that absolutely needs to be punished. But all in all, good for you for somehow finding a way out of this, because this situation could have been way worse. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Today, I found out that my dad has been hiding another family, including a wife and a 10-year-old half-sister that I've never even known about. And I now feel completely devastated and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 25-year-old female, and I just found out that my dad has been hiding a family for the last 14 years. My parents got divorced when I was 9 years old. He moved overseas for work about a year before the divorce, and I didn't find out they were divorced until 3 years later when my mom heard my dad was spotted with a wedding ring on, which apparently was the time he got married, but he never said anything, and I was young and wasn't great at broaching those topics with him. He would visit me every year for my birthday and stay a couple of weeks to a month and called at least weekly. He was there for important life events like my grandfather's funeral, my graduations when I was hospitalized, and even came to buy me a car when I was 16 years old. We went on family vacations together over the years, and when I was in college, I met up with him for a week alone in Italy. Now, my mother still loved him all these years and never dated or remarried, and she thought that cultural and family pressures caused him to think that he needed to earn more and more overseas for that. 3 weeks ago, I went on a trip to Asia, and I stopped to visit my father on a few-hour layover midway. We had a wonderful time as we have a pretty good relationship now, and then I went about my trip. I then told him that I would come visit him there again soon. Well, the day after I got back, he surprise visited the US and dropped the bomb on me, and this was all awful timing with Christmas, work, and jet lag. Now, I was surprised because my dad had seemingly lived alone for many years, and that's because apparently he didn't move in with the wife until 7 years into their marriage. He said it was because he was trying to come back to the United States for a job that was closer to me and didn't want to uproot her life. Now, my half-sister knows about me, but I had no clue that she even existed, and he said he kept it from me because it never seemed like the right time to tell me, and he didn't want to mess me up. But I honestly feel so betrayed by the situation. My father didn't abandon me, but with the exception of a couple of weeks out of the year, he was an absent father. I thought it was because he wanted to chase a big career in opulent cities and have fun as a bachelor, but now, knowing that he was instead a family man all this time is completely crushing. The secret is hard for me too, as it was manipulative to keep something that important away from me, and all of his side of the family knew about this. So now I don't really know how to feel. We have met up a couple of times and I've asked questions, but I still can't believe he hid a second life from me. So truly, any perspective is very appreciated, because right now I'm not sure how I want to move forward. Oh my god, your dad is an awful person for doing this to you. I think that needs to be said out loud because this is so toxic. He literally hid a family from you your entire life. I mean, you didn't even know you had a half-sister who's 10 years old, by the way, until literally just recently. Like, that is so weird. Why would he not tell you about that? And worst of all, everybody on your father's side of the family lied to you basically your entire life. They kept this truth from you for literally no reason other than guilt. So truly, I really don't blame you for being upset, but also I'm so sorry that this happened to you, because you do not deserve this in the slightest. My idiotic manager keeps changing our schedules to the point where it is literally ruining all of our lives. And at this point, we really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I do like my job, but my god, one manager is ruining everything with her scheduling. And this is completely her problem. None of us agree with what she's doing, and even though other managers and staff alike have tried to resolve the issue with her, she still will not budge. She's not even the most senior or powerful person, but she is queen of her castle, if that makes any kind of sense. She's not targeting anyone in particular, but she is hurting everyone. She's just sort of destroying all of us with a death by 10,000 cuts. There's no stopping her, there's no resolution. We all just have to accept it and hope whatever is possessing her, whether it's stress at home or general existential dread, honestly just works itself out. And you know what? We've tried, collectively and apart. There's always some reason or justification, and she will change the schedule in the middle of the night, making it too late for people to organize and type a comeback. We've come together collectively as a staff, and the issue is she genuinely thinks she's making the right calls. I mean, she's a fanatic. In some, she keeps adjusting hours across all shifts, despite them being well established and running with no issues or complaints. She guilt-tripped a staff member with a dying husband to try and come in because she was so desperate, even though she wasn't, because in reality, she just panics over every little hiccup. She's even going as far as adding staff to dead shifts. So I just want to remind myself that I still make good money, even if it's been cut in half, and I love most of my coworkers and customers. Work is getting a little harder to deal with, but I'm sure it will pass. Eventually, something will give, but this really is the first time I've considered even looking for a new job in several years. Oh my god, what in the world is happening? Why is this lady allowed to schedule people like that? If someone scheduled me for a shift in the middle of the night and then tried to complain to me all because I didn't know about the shift, I would lose my mind and find another job, or I would document it and go above her head if I can. Like if this is a chain restaurant, I'm going straight to corporate. I'm gonna be like, wait a second, this lady is ruining all of our lives. Because seriously, you should not have to deal with this. The least you can expect from your manager is some kind of like cohesive schedule. And it doesn't sound like there needs to be all this reorganizing in the first place. Just like any other job, people pretty much know what they want and they'll work the hours that they like. So for her to switch things around and be like, oh, we're gonna change things in the middle of the night and nobody can do anything about it. Like for me, that's the fast track to me literally quitting on the spot and bringing with me as many coworkers as possible, because this is behavior that you absolutely should not be putting up with. My coworker went on sick leave for 4 weeks after I refused to do a task that she assigned to me, and now I feel really guilty and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So this situation has been bothering me for a while, and I need an outside perspective. I work in an office where roles and responsibilities are pretty well defined. Let's call my coworker Lisa. Lisa and I get along well enough, but we've never been super close, just professional. About a month ago, Lisa asked me to handle a task that frankly was outside my job description and instead was directly part of her responsibilities. It wasn't a huge task, but it was time consuming, and I already had a packed schedule. Plus, it seemed unfair that she was trying to offload her work onto me, especially since I don't get paid more for doing others' work, and with rising costs, I have more on my plate. I politely but firmly told her, sorry, but I just can't take this on right now. Maybe we talk to the manager about redistributing tasks if you're overwhelmed. When I said this, she just nodded and said, okay, and then walked away. Well, the next day, Lisa didn't come to work. I didn't think much of it at first, but then she called in sick for the rest of the week. Fast forward, and now it's been 4 weeks of her being on sick leave, and I heard through the office grapevine that she told Human Resources that she's dealing with stress and anxiety because of workplace tension and the rising cost of living. Now, this is where I start feeling guilty. Did my refusal to do the task trigger something for her? I genuinely didn't mean to upset her. I just didn't think it was fair to dump her work on me, but now I'm wondering if I misread the situation. Maybe she was struggling more than I realized and my response pushed her over the edge. Now, the workload is heavier for everyone because Lisa's responsibilities are being reassigned to the rest of us. Some coworkers have started making comments like, well, if someone had just helped Lisa out, maybe she wouldn't be gone for so long. And I know they're not directly blaming me, but still, it stings. So am I overreacting by feeling this way? Should I have just done the task to avoid this whole situation? Or is this something that Lisa needs to take accountability for? What should I do? Okay, I really do think you're overreacting here because this is not your fault. If Lisa was overwhelmed at work, then she should have gone to her boss and been like, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I need help getting stuff done. I can't do this on my own. What she did wrong, in my opinion, is going to you and being like, hey, can you do this for me? Like if I was in your shoes and I saw the pile of stuff that I had to do, and then someone comes in and was like, oh man, can you do my job as well? I would be like, sorry, but I don't have time for that. So personally, I think you did the right thing. You told them, hey, go to the manager if you need your jobs like reassigned, but I can't do them for you because I'm busy as it is. So no, you are not responsible for her being stressed out and having anxiety, because if she really was having this many problems, then she really should have talked to her manager. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my in-laws use my car after all of their cars break down one by one? Because right now they're demanding that I hand it over so they can live their lives. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so at the moment I have an okay car. It's not the car I wanted, but it gets me where I need to go. For context, I totaled my last car, which is a long story, and I was too scared to drive for a while, and my in-laws got a new car around this time. After a few months had passed, I had finally grown confident enough to try again. So I would ask my mother-in-law if I could start driving myself places. Every time I asked, she would always tell me that I can't because I wasn't on the insurance. Fast forward a few months, and my sister-in-law messed up her car somehow, and my mother-in-law was letting her drive their car. Eventually, I find out from my father-in-law that my sister-in-law isn't on the insurance either, so he doesn't know why she won't let me drive. This became a constant argument on why she's allowed to drive, but I'm not. As soon as I got my car, I decided to lay down some rules based off the situation surrounding their car. For starters, I'm not taking my sister-in-law's kids anywhere or picking them up because they leave trash in my mother-in-law's car all the time. Secondly, my car is not a backup vehicle. If something happens to their car, then they'll have to figure something out. And seriously, that's not too crazy, right? Well, fast forward a few months, and my sister-in-law messed up her car again, so now they're sharing one car. Except every time my sister-in-law takes their car, they turn around and ask me me to use mine. When I would say no because of rule number 2, they would get mad and say, oh, well, we need you to help us out. But my reaction would be to say, well, I needed help too, and I had to fight all of you for months to get it. And then I would end up letting it happen anyways because my backbone just doesn't exist. At one point, my husband had to have a conversation with his dad because he thought that it would be cool to go pick up one of the kids from school when he only asked me to take my car to the store. And mind you, his dad knew that I was not okay with that. After getting my car out of the shop from an accident and spending way too much money on taking a Lyft to work every single day, my mother-in-law was stressing about how she would get to work because my father-in-law also needed to use their car to get to work. So I tell her, well, you know that Uber and Lyft is a thing, right? You didn't offer to take me to work, so I don't know what to tell you. And of course she got mad, and of course I felt like I was getting buffed down again. So eventually I just caved in. Well, yesterday my father-in-law somehow messed up their car and now they can't drive it, meaning that my car is the only working vehicle. Despite the amount of times I've caved in, I want to stand 10 toes down on my decision to not let them use my car. And this is because I feel like they just let me struggle for years, not helping me get a car and not letting me drive. Meanwhile, I continuously watch them help out my sister-in-law, even though she's totaled every car she's had. Secondly, they should have gotten a second car for these situations instead of expecting me to let them use my car. And third, I feel like they don't ever expect me to say no to them. So am I really the jerk here? Because at this point, I really don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk, and honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that you caved in so many times, because now I'm sure these people are like convinced that they can push you around and get whatever they want. And that's not fair for you at all. These people literally left you out on a limb and said, oh, we're not gonna let you use our car, you're not on the insurance. And then they turn right back around and give it to your sister-in-law and say, oh, but she can do it, she's different. So truly, I don't blame you for being like, no, you're not using my car, you never helped me out. Because this is quite literally what they did to you in your time of need. My boyfriend ordered Christmas gifts incredibly late, meaning that nothing he bought me is gonna show up on Christmas Day. And at this point, I'm incredibly upset and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. My boyfriend and I have been together for what will be 4 years in January, and we've lived together for the past 3 years. My boyfriend is usually pretty good about gifting me things that I want, need, or even like, but is usually rushing to do so before whatever holiday it is that we're celebrating. I have never not gotten at least something on time though, and usually a few of my gifts he gets me for my birthdays or any special occasions are late, all because of his lack of planning. Yesterday though, he informed me that literally all of my gifts won't be here until after Christmas, as he waited to shop for me until mainly this weekend. He also this weekend kept asking me for additional ideas on what to get me, meaning he really hadn't put much thought into what I'd like until last minute, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't bummed out over the situation. I currently have a PlayStation 5, an extra controller, 2 games, and a charging dock under the tree for him, and I have 2 more smaller gifts coming today in the mail. I feel like I really went all out this year, and it's hurting my feelings that he couldn't even plan ahead with enough time to get me something that I can open on actual Christmas Day. He also made an odd comment about how he doesn't need to get my son a gift because apparently he already has enough gifts. My son is 5 years old, and while he does have a good amount of presents, it felt gross to hear him dismissing getting my son something. I believe he said it not necessarily out of being rude, but because he again has nothing lined up. But I still can't help but feel gross about all of it. I even took my son shopping for something for my boyfriend specifically, and I even let him pick out what to get my boyfriend, so he feels like he got him some kind of gift. I did tell my boyfriend I'm upset about my stuff being late, and he apologized repeatedly, so I just decided to drop it, especially since there's nothing really I can do about it now. I'm trying to give him grace, as he recently started a second job and has had limited time off to go shopping, but last week he made time to take a trip to the mall and purchase things for himself. Not to mention that I also worked 2 jobs and raised my 5-year-old and still made time to get things done. Money is not an issue, as we both work for the same company full-time, and we both got good Christmas bonuses. I honestly don't know what to do. I'm trying not to be materialistic about the whole thing, but I just feel like my son and I deserve gifts on time from someone who we love and loves us. He also hasn't purchased anything for quite literally anybody else in the family, and we are supposed to be going to his mother's house on Christmas Eve to celebrate. I was questioning him today on what his plans are for his mother, sister, and nieces, and he just rolled his eyes with gift cards and cash. I told him it sounds like he's just going the easy way out by handing his mom cash, but he insists that's not true and that it's what she would prefer, whereas I purchased nice gifts for all of them myself. I'm unsure how to approach it at this point, as I don't see a reason to continue to make him feel bad for it, but I'm just upset that he couldn't prioritize the people who love him this year. What should I do? do? Okay, honestly, there's no good excuse for the way your boyfriend's acting. I don't think I need to spell this out, but seriously, it is so easy to shop online. This guy could have taken like, what, an hour tops to shop for everybody in his family and had all of that literally at his doorstep, probably pre-packaged in like no time. It would have been so simple it's not even funny. So sure, I can understand why you would try to like explain away his behavior, but in my opinion, there's no excuse. There's no reason why you can't shop ahead of time and get stuff done like this. So truly, I'm so sorry this happened to you, because this really does make your boyfriend look incredibly bad. My boyfriend and I's mutual friends uninvited me from their wedding, stating that I was causing drama and disrespecting people around them, and now I'm stuck with a $500 plane ticket while my boyfriend is still a groomsman in this wedding. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I was supposed to attend the wedding of my friend and my boyfriend's best friend in a few days. However, I just found out that I've been uninvited from the wedding entirely. The wedding is across the country and the plane tickets for it are over $500 and they're non-refundable. My parents bought the tickets as my Christmas gift since I couldn't afford them, but it was a lot of money even for them. My boyfriend is a groomsman at this wedding to a guy that he's been best friends with, and we have been in a friend group with for years. When my boyfriend asked him what was happening, he said he didn't know they were going to run out of space, so they had to get rid of all of the +1s, and that I was never actually formally invited, but just as a +1 to the wedding. On top of this, both of the people getting married unadded me on all social media. When my boyfriend asked why, he responded that I had disrespected my boyfriend a lot, disrespected his fiance by talking crap about her to his sister, and then also disrespected his sister. The conversation in which he's referring to was one his sister brought up to me, my boyfriend, and her roommate one day. Everything said was agreed on by everyone in the four-way conversation. Now, when it comes to disrespecting his sister, I have no idea where this is coming from. For context, his sister liked my boyfriend and repeatedly for months this year flirted with and tried to get close to him in front of me. She started being a massive cold jerk to me out of nowhere, which I later learned was when he cut her off. As far as disrespecting my boyfriend goes, I am not perfect and I have made mistakes. The thing he is talking about specifically was a TikTok video I posted about a celebrity guy being good looking, even though people like to pretend he's not because of his personality, which is a conversation I had had with my boyfriend previously. Well, I deleted the TikTok and I apologized. However, my boyfriend acted single and flirted with the groom's sister before I could get back to school, as my luggage was lost in another country for a few months at the beginning of the semester. Coming off of a hard, long-distance summer of not much communication and not seeing each other is honestly not that easy, especially when I was out of the country for most of it. Nothing ever happened and he never felt anything for her, but it messed me up for a long time. So the root of the problem is clearly the groom's sister, who is lying because she feels scorned. My boyfriend said that he will say something, but not because he wants to, but because I'm making him do it. And that was pretty much my last straw, as I firmly believe my person would not only stand up for me, but fully take my side and not go to the wedding. Well, I told my boyfriend this, and he said he can't just not go because he's a groomsman, but if we were engaged or married, it would be different. And we've been dating over a year. My best friend, who knows all these people and was also friends with all of them previous to all of this, is out of the country for a year, but I told her what happened. She is now furious and unfollowed all of them, and thinks I even need to break up with my boyfriend. The issue is the tickets for the wedding are also where my boyfriend's family lives, and I was going to stay and visit with them for a few days, and then he has tickets to come visit my family right afterwards. So right now I don't know what to do. I am beyond hurt, I'm crushed, and I feel very defeated. I wanted nothing more than to have a nice holiday with my family, as well as the man I loved, but I don't know what to do anymore, and it has been destroying me. It's important to note that I love my boyfriend and he loves me very much, and aside from his sleep schedule, our relationship is perfect, and he does a lot for me. He is very kind and non-confrontational, so this whole situation is driving him insane. So do I proceed forward and try and enjoy the holidays, even though I'm not going to the wedding? Or do I call everything off and waste all this money? I'm in a tough spot and I'm honestly not sure what to do. Okay, honestly, I need to back up for a second because you said something that really bothers me. You're telling me he was pretending to be single and was flirting with another girl, and you're somehow calling him a good partner? Like, what's going on right now? That is not a good partner. That sounds like someone trying to go behind your back, and that is absolutely not okay. So here's the thing, if you want to go on this trip anyways and see how things can go, you certainly can do that, but honestly, I don't think you should force yourself if you are uncomfortable with it, because what you're describing sounds like an absolute nightmare, and I would not want to be in this situation in the slightest. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for moving out? All because my mom is charging me rent after high school. Because right now I feel so frustrated and I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm 17 years old, and as an important note in case this gets confusing, my parents are divorced with my mom having full custody. A while ago, my mom and I got into a huge argument because my savings that only she had access to and had about $2,300 in it that I had earned were used instead for my mom's bills and other payments that she owed. Now, I was rightfully mad at her, but unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it. And the only reason I found out was because I asked to take money out for Christmas shopping and she acted suspicious. Now, yesterday or so, we were in the car traveling to my dad's for the weekend, and she then tells me, when your stepdad and I finish paying off the money I owe you, you're either going to need to go to school or pay bills, like the phone bill and stuff like that. And then she explained how much I would need to either help around the house or get a second job. Now, I would need a second job because right now I only make about $130 bi-weekly. Again, this is a great premise. However, I don't have much in that house to begin with, besides maybe some personal items. I don't feel like I belong half the time as I look so much like my dad, and I am the only person in my mom's house who doesn't have their last name, so I really feel kind of odd. So I talked to my dad, we cried, and came up with a plan. I graduate early, and legally I'm allowed to choose where I live since I was about 14 years old. I plan on collecting my information needed to prove that I exist, and I'm starting to find boxes for all my clothing and such over winter break. And then I'm gonna break the news to my mom after break, so she will still have me for about 2 weeks or so. Now, this could go one of two ways. For starters, my mom might try to fight me on leaving, and I might have to stay until I'm 18 years old, in which case I will let her know that if she fights me, I'm going no contact. The second option is she lets me go, helps me move out, and I'm willing to contact her and possibly visit. But I'm honestly so tired of feeling like the cash cow of the family. But she is my mom. I don't want to sue her or make her feel like I don't love her anymore, but I feel like I'm being taken advantage of and like she's not listening to me. So am I the jerk for wanting to move out? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I don't blame you for moving out, but if you do move out, you need to set up your own savings account. You can't put any more money in that account because clearly your mom can't be trusted. Like, she literally stole $2,300 that you earned and used it all on her stuff. Like, that really is not fair. So no, you're not the jerk for wanting to move out, because if I was in your shoes, I would do the exact same thing. My entitled mom is mad that me and my husband don't want to gamble every family game night, as she claims that we're just being stingy and that we could afford it if we really wanted to. And I'm honestly so done with her that I now just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I usually go to my parents' house every Sunday for family game night, but over the past year, family game night has turned into an expensive activity as the game we play involves betting money. And lately, my husband and I haven't been doing well at the game at all. Altogether, we lost about $200, and that was when we told them enough was enough. We were done losing money to them. They were free to play without us if they wanted, and we would just watch. But my mom started arguing with me, making snide comments how it wasn't that much money, and we were just being cheap, sore losers. My husband and I are not regular gamblers, and even though technically we could afford it, we are trying to save for a down payment on a house, and losing $75 every week was making us feel stressed out. And with Christmas coming up, it just made us feel even worse. I eventually had to talk to my dad to try and talk some sense into my mom since she wasn't listening to me. And eventually, my dad did talk her into using smaller change, like dimes and quarters instead of dollars, which is a less painful loss of money, as it were. We agreed to one more game, so long as we could just use small change only. My mom still pouted about not playing with dollars, so my dad gave us $50 so we could play with that and we didn't have to pay them back. So we played a game and it was kind of better, but my mom was still being huffy about playing with small change. But when we did play with the dollars because of the money my dad gave us, my mom would shake her head, saying it was wrong to bet the money just given to us. But seriously, I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know how she can't understand that not everyone is comfortable gambling and losing money every week. After that, we told them outright we're done playing for money altogether, and if they wanted us to play with them, then they need to pick a different game. Everyone eventually agreed to play Monopoly, but Mommy Dearest announced that she was doing it out of some big favor to us. I mean, she is so condescending, and it really seems like family game night is becoming one massive headache, no matter how we try and go about doing it. Wow, I'm surprised you're still going over there, I'm not gonna lie. First of all, gambling money with family is not a good idea. Like, that really sounds like a quick way to find resentment in the family, especially when you have a mom like yours. Like, the only reason she wants you to gamble is because she's getting money out of you. Like, that's all this is. She doesn't care about anything except for your money. So personally, if I was in your shoes, I would stop going over there until they figure their lives out, because the way she's treating you is incredibly unfair. Am I the jerk for not appreciating my brother's girlfriend living with us, all because she acts like she's 14 years old and literally is trashing the place all the time? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm an 18-year-old male, and I live with my mother, my brother who's 23 years old, and his 18-year-old girlfriend, and the living situation is rather cluttered. Ever since my brother's girlfriend moved in, things have been very stressful to me because I was the only one who would clean the house since my mother and brother worked so much they just didn't have any time. And now with an extra person in the house, the mess has been getting worse and worse. His girlfriend straight up refuses to help out or even clean and just stays in his room and then brings down a mass amount of dishes that she's been keeping in the bedroom. She doesn't even rinse them off or anything like that. They are always caked in ketchup and hot sauce. And then on top of her not doing the smallest thing to make my life simpler, she also refuses to do her own laundry and expects me to bring the laundry up to the room when it's done. She also doesn't have a job, and I've recently started working, and every day after work I come home to a disgusting house that I have to clean. And the worst part is that my room is right next to theirs. So when they're spending quality time together, I can hear everything, if you know what I mean. I've talked to my mother about all of this, and she doesn't see an issue with it at all and just stands up for them. His girlfriend also recently brought her male cat, who wasn't neutered, and would also go to the bathroom all over their floor to the point where the smell was seeping out into my room. And male cat urine is one of the worst smells I've ever smelled. It's now getting to the point where I feel like flipping out on her, especially because how can you move into someone else's lives and do something like this? Wouldn't you want to clean up after yourself? Wouldn't you want them to like you? She doesn't even interact with me and acts weird and scared when I do. Like she knows what she's doing is kind of wrong. She acts like more of a child than I do, and it makes me feel kind of sick to my stomach that there is someone who still needs proper raising living with us. I mean, what made this dude want to be with an 18-year-old who acts like she's 14? I mean, it is so beyond me. She doesn't even cook. She just eats our air fryer food all day. So seriously, am I the jerk for wanting to tell this girl to start helping out? I feel like it shouldn't be my place to say something, but at the same time, it makes me so mad that she's allowed to do that, because if I did that, then I would get yelled at and criticized. What should I do? Okay, first off, you're not the jerk for wanting to say something, because yes, you absolutely have every right to say something. You live there. This is your living space as well. So for her to trash this place and also expect you to clean up after her, that is crazy, and there is no good excuse for that. And for me, the grossest part is that she literally is letting a cat urinate all over the house, because that would be the straw that broke my back almost immediately. How on earth is your mom and your brother okay with this? So yes, in my opinion, you absolutely should say something, because the way your brother's girlfriend is acting is absolutely unacceptable. Am I the jerk for not giving my sister-in-law the money I made after I sold a cell phone that she gifted me over a year ago for free? Here's what happened. Okay, so last year I broke my cell phone. My sister-in-law had just got a new cell phone because hers was not charging. She said I could get it for free and I would only have to fix it and buy a charger. So I did, and I've been using it ever since then. I just bought a new phone purely because my stepdad was selling it, and I'm kind of impulsive. My friend's mom informed me that she was interested in buying my old phone for what I feel is a pretty fair price, and we already set a date for me to give her the phone so she can pay me. I then sent a message to my sister-in-law saying that I was going to sell the phone, and as soon as I got the money, I would be sending her half of it. My sister-in-law then thanked me, and that was that. Well, my brother, her husband, just sent me a pretty angry text message saying that I was stealing from them, and that if I was going to sell a phone that I got for free, I should give all the money to the person that gifted me it. And now my family is all arguing about it, though some of them think that my offer of half was good, but apparently a lot of them think that I'm the jerk for one, selling a phone that I got as a gift, and secondly, not giving them all of the money. My mom, my other siblings, and stepdad agree with me, but my dad feels like I should give them the money to keep the peace because they are struggling parents, and I'm just a 19-year-old kid who doesn't need it. I'm afraid I just made Christmas incredibly awkward, but honestly, I would like the money, and since my brother was rude about it, I don't feel like giving him any of it. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, no, you are not the jerk. This is so dumb. These people gave up on this cell phone and said, here you go, you can have this for free. Free literally means, guess what? There's no strings attached. I don't even know why you called your sister-in-law up to be like, yeah, I'm selling the phone. Because if that were me, I would just sell the phone and be like, okay, we're done with this. So I kind of think that was a big mistake, but that's neither here nor there. The fact that anyone's trying to be like, wow, you need to give us all the money, for that phone that we gave up on and said you need to fix it. And it's like, oh, okay, I see how it is. They only want money for this the second you fix it and try to sell it. Suddenly, there's value for this phone and it's not something free that you're gonna give out. Like, that is so stupid, especially because you bought a charger and you fixed it, and they gave it to you a year ago. If after 3 months of owning something that I was given for free, congratulations, this is now my property and I can do with it as I please, and no one's gonna tell me otherwise. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, because the way your sister-in-law and your brother are acting, in my opinion, is super dumb. Would I be the jerk if I left my boyfriend to figure out that today is my birthday? Because right now, I'm not sure that he will catch on that today is a big day for me, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So today is my birthday, and I'm visiting family for half of December and a week or two into January. My boyfriend lives a few hours away from my hometown, and I'm traveling with my family to a different state to see extended family for the holidays. For context, when I'm with my boyfriend, I end up having to tell him or push him to take care of himself, and he does. Not anything extreme like not showering for days, but he will just get hungry and angry unless I tell him it's time for a meal or I start preparing something. He cooks as well when I mention that I'm hungry, as some kind of hint that he should eat as well. I also have to tell him to go to bed, or he will stay up way past midnight, and he wakes up at about 7 o'clock every morning for work. Since I've left to visit family, he's taking care of himself a lot less, forgetting to eat all day and going to bed stupid late. The past few days, he stayed up until about 4 or 5 in the morning, which is fine since it is the weekend, but he keeps texting me about how tired he is. This morning, I got a text from a friend telling me happy birthday, and a text from my boyfriend at around noon saying that he had just woken up and was telling me how late he had stayed up gaming again. And I even got a text from my dentist office telling me happy birthday before my boyfriend did. It's not that my birthday is especially important to me or anything like that, but I guess it's just nice to hear, especially since we've been together for over a year now. So do I say to him, hey, it's my birthday, or do I let him try and remember? I feel like it would be rude if I didn't mention it at all, since we are big on communication, but I'm also frustrated since all he's done today is sleep. What should I do? Okay, honestly, it sounds like everybody sucks here, because for starters, you're not his girlfriend. You literally are his mother, and that is all that's happening right now. For reference, this guy is 26 years old, and you're really telling me that this guy needs someone to tell him when to eat his meals, as well as when he needs to go to bed? Like, either this guy is a massive man-child, or he really is just allowing you to do this. And the fact that you're enabling that is really sketchy in my opinion. But also, let's be honest here. If he quite literally cannot take care of himself even at a base level, how on earth do you expect him to know that it's even your birthday in the first place? And it's like, okay, you've only been dating for about a year, but at that point, he really should have that down to some degree. So seriously, I think everybody in this story is not doing great, and I think you really need to consider exactly what you want out of this relationship, because what you've described, in my opinion, sounds like a nightmare to deal with. My entitled friend is one of those arrogant rich people who like to pretend that they had it hard and they had to work hard to get what they have, but in reality, they just come from a rich family that quite literally gave them everything. Here's what happened. Okay, so an acquaintance of mine had the following life. They were born into an upper middle class family, and the father was making enough to support a family and finance a big house and property in a very good part of town on his own. He had good, loving parents, and as a kid, he got encouraged, supported, and helped. He did not have to work while studying, besides an occasional gig, because he was financed by parents. Later on, he met a woman that had a well-paying job, so he moved out when he was like 23 years old. She financed their apartment and him until he finished studying when he was about 28 or 29. After that, her parents gifted them a property, and both families supported them financially while they were building their house. And at 32, they now have a house, their first kid, and are pretty much set for life. It's like the perfect fairy tale. If you don't have genuinely rich parents that are millionaires or above, it can't get any better or easier than that. Basically, this guy rolled a dice and got a 6 several times in a row. Yet the guy is entitled and arrogant as all get out. He keeps rambling about how he made smart decisions and that he works very hard and he deserves everything, and people that have nothing are 100% to blame. And seriously, how can someone be this deluded? Compared to most others, he had massive amounts of help, and most of the things that helped him were out of his control and pure luck. He could have been born into a poor family. He could have had horrible, awful parents. He could have been required to work to finance his studies from the age of 18. If it took him until 28 or 29 to finish his degree, with just the occasional gig once a month or so, then he would have needed until 35 if he had to work a 15 to 20 hour part-time job to finance his studies. He could have met a regular girlfriend that did not have the means to finance 2 people. He also could have met a girlfriend with a family that had no property to gift them, and he could have received no financial help from his or her family. I think that most regular people would be doing pretty well if they just managed to be born into a good family and enter a relationship with a man or woman from a wealthy family family and get gifted a property that saves them like $50,000 to $100,000 and then get like another $40,000 to $50,000 in financial help from their families. These supposed smart decisions would be a massive boost for everyone, even if they were working a minimum wage job. And the worst part about it is that there are people who had it 100 times or even 1,000 times easier, and pretty much all of them babble about bootstraps and smart decisions, and they're all incredibly arrogant. I think that Bezos would be where he is if his parents didn't borrow him like $500,000. He got a free ticket to start his business idea, and others can't even participate. Or even Bill Gates that had ultra wealthy parents and a mother with connections to the IBM board, and he had access to one of like 5 public PCs in the entire country at the time, as well as the time to experiment because he didn't have to work a part-time job. Yet these people are so arrogant and condescending. They can't be that stupid and deluded to not see all of the luck and advantages they had, right? If you start the Monopoly game with you having $5,000 and your opponent having $1,000, you have such an advantage that only a fool could lose. If you start the game with $10,000 or $100,000 or more, not even an idiot can lose anymore. This amount of resources offsets all skill, smartness, or luck of everyone competing against you. It's just sad because it means money enables stupid, incompetent idiots to overcome the skill, talent, and intelligence of much better people. But to think that you are better or smarter just because you had more resources at your disposal from the beginning that literally made your life easier, that in my opinion is the ultimate insult. Oh man, I relate with this so much because I've ran into people like the person in this story. They sit there and they say, oh yeah, I worked so hard in life. Meanwhile, their parents literally finance every aspect of their life. They had all of the advantages placed in front of them, and honestly, compared to other people, they didn't really work that hard. So yes, I agree with pretty much everything in this post, and I honestly can't stand people who act so arrogant about the advantages they have in life. My crazy entitled mother-in-law demands that she wear a white dress at my wedding while also requesting I wear anything else, claiming that because she didn't get to experience a wedding, she deserves the right to walk down the aisle and feel what it's like. But after I found out that my fiance is somehow okay with this plan, I put my foot down and I told him that is absolutely not gonna happen. And now at this point, I'm thinking I might need to call off the wedding because I seriously do not know what to do. Here's what happened. So have you ever seen I Love a Mama's Boy? Well, that's my life basically. I'm a 27-year-old female and I've been with my fiance, who we will call John, ever since high school. We dated and broke up because his mother, who we will call Debbie, convinced him that we were too young to be in love. So we broke up and went to college. During my sophomore year, we started talking on socials again. He apologized and said that he missed me, and eventually we got back together. Well, cue the waterworks. Debbie literally cried the first time she saw that we were back together and told John that I have done witchcraft on him. I've always respected Debbie out of respect for my mother and upbringing, and I was not raised to go back and forth with my elders, but she definitely messes with that. Since John and I decided to get back together, she has tried to hook him up with women from her church, as well as her job, and even asked her friends for their daughters to give it a shot. John denies all of them, and Debbie says that I'm controlling. John has also told her to stop, but not in a way that I feel gets the point across. Anyways, 3 months ago, John proposed. And of course, Debbie didn't come to the engagement party. And it's like, cool, whatever. She also didn't come to the family dinner so we could have both sides meet each other. But fortunately, John's dad did come, and he apologized for his ex's behavior. And yes, he left her when John graduated high school. But when John's dad did that, I told him don't worry about it. Now, the problems really began when John decided to confront his mother about how she's behaving towards our whole engagement. This turned on the light bulb in his brain, as he's always tried to ignore it and tell me to ignore her. She gave him some kind of sob story about how she got pregnant with him before marriage, and she never really got to have a wedding, and that this is so triggering for her. And for reference, she basically had a forced wedding at the courthouse. He then asked her what she needed to feel comfortable, and she responded that if she wore a white dress at my wedding, and if I wore some kind of pink or lavender dress, only then would she feel comfortable. Now, my fiance for some reason thought that this was a fair compromise. He also said, and not asked me by the way, that his mom could walk me down the aisle so that she can get her moment in her dress. But I told him absolutely not. We then got into an argument about it. I told him that it is absolutely insane that he would argue with me to defend his mom's honor, but wouldn't do the same the other way around. He accused me of being petty and selfish. I mean, this was really bad. We both agreed to cool off, but by how heated it got, I could tell we both almost agreed to call it off. Well, right now we're in a weird space, and I love John, but I now see how much he lets her impact our life. I just imagine her sitting at home with this evil grin, knowing that she's ruining my relationship with John, and he's just putty in her hands. years. At this point, I think I should just call off the wedding because right now I really don't know what to do. Dear God, your fiance is absolutely delusional. This is not a compromise. His mom is literally trying to be some kind of like pretend bride at your wedding. Like this is some crazy level of narcissism. It's not even funny. And the fact that she's trying to be like, oh, this is how I can feel better. If your wife wears something besides white at her own wedding, I'll feel good about it. It's like, what are we talking about? If she wants to have some kind of moment of walking down the aisle in a dress, she can do that on her time and her dime. So the fact that your fiance is like, oh, come on, this is just to help her out. Like that is crazy to me and that is absolutely unacceptable. Like seriously, who in their right mind would be okay with this? Their stupid mom is being like, oh man, I should wear white at your wedding, not your bride-to-be. But it's like, do you hear yourself right now? Why on earth is John agreeing to this? So truly, I hope this all works out for you, and I really hope John sees the light of day, because his mom sounds like an absolute psychopath. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my mom that she'll regret picking her husband over her children? Because after my mom practically abandoned her entire family, she's now justifying it by saying that we never appreciated her when she was there. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 23-year-old female and my husband moved in with my mom over the summer to help my mom with her bills and to help take care of my 3 younger siblings. The main reason for this move was because I did not want her to get back with her boyfriend that she had been dating on and off for the past 7 to 8 years. Not long after we moved in, she starts talking to him again after repeatedly telling me that she was never going to get back together with him. She then goes on to marry him and since then has taken on this mentality that she is his wife and has responsibilities towards him. So she has to be with him 24/7, which in turn meant to me and my siblings that we would see her less because he does not live with us. Ever since she got married, she goes directly to him after work, and the only time my siblings see her is in the mornings when she takes them to school. I mean, she's not even home during the weekends. Recently, this past weekend, my mom and I ended up arguing over text messaging because my siblings missed their mom and they wanted to see her. She then chooses to, instead of coming to see her kids, to call them and tell them that she is too busy to see them and that when she was there, all they ever did was play video games. But now that she's with her husband, they suddenly miss her and they want to spend all this time with her. This made my siblings very sad, which naturally made me step in and tell her off. I told her that she can't be serious right now and that obviously her children are going to miss her. That even though they might have a roof over their heads and food, that doesn't mean they still don't need their mother's presence more than just a few minutes in the morning when they're going to school. I told her she can't seriously be picking a man that has literally shown he does not care about her over her children who do love her. She responded by telling me the same thing she told my siblings, that when she was with us, my siblings didn't appreciate her and that they just spend their time playing video games. And I'm like, be for real, you're resenting them as if they're not literal children. Like, where's that energy with that man that has literally done nothing good for us? She then tries to guilt trip me by being like, oh, so I'm a bad mom now? Okay, that's fine, you'll regret your words one day. She then hangs up on me and refuses my calls. She then texts my sister telling her that she's not going to talk to me anymore. So I texted her. I told her the one who's going to regret her words is you, and you'll be sorry for picking a man over your children. The day you learn to not put a man on a pedestal is the day that you will get your blessing. It's a serious mental problem to be so attached to a man. I said that I love her, but I know she's not okay by doing what she's doing. Well, as a result, she's now no longer talking to me and only contacts my siblings. So am I the jerk for giving my mom a much needed reality check? Because right now I don't know what to do. Oh man, your mom absolutely needed to hear all of this. She seriously is sitting there and being like, wow, you guys never appreciated me. When I was there, all you did was play video games. And it's like, yeah, lady, these are kids you're talking about. They're gonna want to play games and like, I don't know, relax after school. Just because they're doing that doesn't mean that they don't love you. And also, that's a horrible cop-out. She's literally trying to be like, wow, you guys never appreciated me, and now I'm gone and you're trying to act like you actually care? Like, what is she talking about? She does know that she's their mom, right? So to answer your question, no, you're absolutely not the jerk. Your mom needed to hear this because her behavior, in my opinion, is completely atrocious. I feel as though my girlfriend is using me for money, as I have literally spent thousands of dollars on her in the 7 months that we've been dating, because right now I feel very taken advantage of, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my girlfriend and I have been dating for about 7 months now, and ever since the beginning, she set expectations that I need to pay for everything. We're talking meals, gifts, trips, etc., which at the time I agreed to. Well, here's where things kind of get weird. At one point, we separated after a big fight. When we got back together a week later, she wanted me to meet her at the mall. After a long discussion, she said to me, "Every time you mess up, the price of admission gets higher." I asked her what she meant, and she said to me, "How about we go shopping around the mall?" In the end, I spent over $50,000 buying her a new designer brand wallet, expensive chocolates, and a high-end dinner. I know her love language is primarily gift-giving and acts of service, so I figured that this was a way of showing that I cared about her. Now, I say all of this because I feel like I've been very generous with her, and I am feeling a bit weird about all of it. Well, a few months ago, my sister invited my girlfriend to join our family trip to the Philippines this February. I told my girlfriend that this would be a great opportunity for her to meet my parents and spend time with us as a family. I offered to pay for her ticket as a gift since her birthday is right before the trip. Well, a month later, during a brief breakup, my girlfriend shot me some very fiery text messages that I also relayed to my sister. My sister was very upset, and when we got back together, I told her that my sister wasn't happy with how she treated me, among other things. My girlfriend then went off by saying, "Your sister looks like a dog, so screw your sister. She is a fake feminist." Now, I figured she was just angry, so I didn't take it to heart. But after that, it was clear the two of us didn't like each other. Well, this week, she told me that she wouldn't forgive my sister, and I told her I'm not sure they could reconcile in time. Then I told her that I wouldn't be here for Valentine's Day since I would be going on the family trip. She then shot me an angry look. I said to her, "What's wrong?" She said to me, "I thought you were going to gift me a ticket to the Philippines for my birthday." But I just said, "What? You said you hate my sister. Why would you want to go on a trip with her?" She said to me, "I wouldn't, but we could have worked something out. You could have flown me out after your family thing, and we could have spent a week exploring." But I said to her, the point of giving you a ticket was to spend time with my family and for you to meet my parents. Plus, I spent a couple $1,000s on you in these past few months in jewelry, gifts, and other things. And that would be a lot for my budget right now, especially since she would expect me to pay for everything on the trip. My girlfriend then accused me of being financially irresponsible, that I don't understand what a partnership is because I made this decision without her. She then canceled our Christmas plans together, and I was really hurt. She said to me, "See, it doesn't feel so nice to have something you're looking forward to canceled, does it?" Right now, all of this feels really petty and mean, and I honestly feel like I'm being used. What should I do? Man, I gotta be honest, if you don't know what to do right now, then I don't think you ever will know. Because if I was in your shoes, this would be a deal breaker. There's no way on planet Earth I would ever go along with someone treating me like this and talking about my family in the way that your girlfriend was talking about your sister. Never mind the fact that she is literally squeezing you for money, but also the audacity for her to attack your sister after she found out the way that your girlfriend's been talking to you. Like, this is nasty across the board, and you do not deserve this. So hopefully you can come to understand that this lady is using you for money. She doesn't care about you or your family at all, and she's only trying to get as much out of you that she can. And if you really can't see that, then unfortunately, you deserve to learn the hard way. Am I the jerk for not defending a girl I barely know after she was kicked out of the friend group for asking to be paid for something that I already basically paid her back for? Because right now, I kind of feel guilty, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 21-year-old female, and I have a group of about 6 friends. And 2 months ago, a new girl who we will call Jane was introduced to the group. For context, one thing our friend group does is trade services. For example, I'll do one of my friend's nails for free, and she'll do my hair for free when I need it done in the future. And we generally try to keep the trades within the same price range. For example, if my hair costs $60, I'll trade doing nails for about $60 to $70. And anything over $10 is usually paid on top of the free service. To be clear, there is zero obligation to do these trades, and to my knowledge, no one has ever been pressured into one. It's all about favors and doing nice things for your friends. Anyways, Jane joins the group about 2 months ago and immediately started asking about my nails. At one point, she says she can't afford to get hers done right now, so I asked her if she wanted to do a trade. For reference, Jane makes her own t-shirts, clothing, and accessories. Well, the nails I ended up doing for her cost about $160. When it was my turn to pick clothes and accessories out, I ended up leaving about $70 worth. I told her not to worry about paying me back for the extra $90, and all in all, I thought it was a good experience, and I got to talk to Jane one-on-one, so it was really fun. Well, that is until this recent Wednesday. I get a text from Jane apologizing, saying she realized she can't afford to just give away $70 worth of her stuff, and that she needs me to pay her back as soon as possible, or she needs the stuff back. At first, I'm really confused, because I could not have been more clear about how the trades work, and I never forced her into one. I apologized back to her, but I said I didn't have some of the smaller items, as I planned to gift them to my sister for her birthday. Jane then kept telling me to just pay her back, and I said that I would when I get paid from my job. But the issue then became her texting. She went to our group chat to complain to everyone about me not paying her for the clothes that she gave me. She ended up letting it slip that it was a trade, and everyone told her that she can't back out of the deal weeks after it happened. She ended up going on TikTok to complain about how I stole from her and that I'm refusing to pay her back, and in response, she was eventually kicked out of the friend group. However, now the friend group is split. Half say that I should have just paid her as she does seem to be genuinely struggling, while the other half say that I'm under no obligation to pay her due to the agreed terms of the trade. The first group think that I'm kind of a jerk, and Jane definitely thinks that I am. So truly, am I in the wrong here? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I don't think you did anything wrong, because it seems like what you're doing is very specific to your group, and from the sounds of it, you explained it really well. You said, hey, we're gonna trade and you're gonna get something out of this, and so am I. So for her to swing back by and be like, actually, I kinda need that money like as soon as possible, so if you could pay me back, that would be great. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not how this works, and no, I'm not gonna pay you back. So in my opinion, I wouldn't pay her a single dime because the way she's acting is so stupid, especially considering the fact that she knew how these trades work in the first place. Am I the jerk for not inviting my friends to go skiing with me after I told them I was going by myself so that I could practice and build up my skills so that I could keep up with them? Because right now they're really offended that I didn't invite them to my practice sessions. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old female and I am a beginner skier. I started skiing about 2 days ago with a day pass. I did about 4 days last season, and this is my first year with a full season pass. I also bought some decent used skis to make it worth the cost. I go to school in Colorado, so I can easily drive up to ski for a day and then come back to sleep at home. For context, I'm confident on green runs, and I can handle blues without much issue. However, I'm not skilled at tricks, and the one time my friends took me on a short black diamond, I was terrified. I just recently figured out the difference between parallel turns and carving, and I've almost mastered hockey stopping, but I still lack confidence in that skill. Well, this is where I might be the jerk. Sometimes I don't invite my friends when I go skiing. Skiing with them can feel intimidating because they're so much better than me, and I feel pressure to keep up or tackle harder trails that I'm not ready for. I hate feeling like I'm holding them back or risking my life on trails they prefer. When we do ski together, they typically leave me towards the end of the day to tackle harder runs while I enjoy some peaceful time working on greens or easier terrain. So this season, I decided to ski solo more often to practice and build my skills and confidence. This way, when I do go with them, it's more fun for everybody. And you know what? It's been working. I've improved a lot and recently invited them to ski, and they were surprised at how much better I had gotten. I'm still no professional, but I was keeping up with them much better than usual, and I even tried some small jumps in the terrain park, though I still fall sometimes. They asked me how I'd improved, and I explained that I had been skiing on my own to practice. Well, they got upset that I didn't invite them to join me on those practice days. I tried to explain that those days were just for repetitive drills on greens and small parks, and I didn't want to feel judged or pushed to advance faster than I was comfortable with. Well, the car ride home was really tense, and for context, I'm the main driver for our group since I have the only car that can fit everyone and the gear. Others have a car that can make the trip, but not with everyone and the gear, so mine is the go-to. And while the silence isn't unusual, it definitely felt awkward this time. So now I'm wondering if I was wrong for not inviting them to join me on my solo ski trips, even though those days were specifically for personal practice. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. You described it perfectly. You literally only did those so that you could practice and try to keep up with your friends. You weren't trying to like intentionally leave anybody out. You were doing that so that you could practice and improve on your own. Because I totally understand where you're coming from. I've participated in hobbies where my friends were significantly better than me. They knew exactly what they were doing, and I felt like I was holding them back. So the fact that you went solo to try and work on your skills, just so you can better keep up with them, in my opinion, is not a shot at them. It doesn't mean you don't want to go skiing with them, because obviously you do. Like, that's the whole reason behind why you're practicing, so you can go on those harder trails with your friends and not feel left behind. So no, you're not the jerk for not inviting them, because in my opinion, I think you did the right thing by trying to develop your skills. Am I the jerk for not inviting a girl from my college to a museum trip with me and my friends? Because right now she's saying that I did a very callous and cruel thing to her, stating that she deserved to go and that if I was a good friend, I would have invited her in the first place. But right now I feel really guilty and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old female currently attending university. I'd like to think that I'm pretty well liked on my course, and I know and speak to a big amount of people. One of those people we will call Mary. Mary is a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, especially BBC's Sherlock. In fact, she had a picture of Martin Freeman as her lock screen for a long time. It's something that we bonded over, as I saw well, one of her projects was Sherlock-based, and we got talking. We've known each other for about 2 or so years now, but we're the sort of friends you only see or speak to inside of university. I've never hung out with her one-on-one, or even outside of the school, and we also don't really message either. I moved to London for university, and my friends from my hometown were coming up for a concert, so obviously we decided to hang out for that day. They're also big fans of Sherlock Holmes, so we decided to buy tickets to the Sherlock Holmes Museum at 221B, and it was a lot of fun. We took a lot of photos while we were in there, and so a few days later, I made a post on Instagram, and I didn't think anything of it at all. I saw that Mary had liked the post, and thought that we'd be able to talk about it the next time I saw her, but that was it. Well, I come to the studio next time, and Mary was super off with me. Even the other people I was around noticed and asked what was up, but she refused to speak to anybody. Eventually, someone got it out of her that she was really upset that I went to the museum without her, that she loves it there, and I know it's something that she would have wanted to do. She said it was extremely rude, and it made her feel left out and excluded. I tried to explain that I went with friends from home, and that I was sorry if I upset her, but she just kept saying that it was a callous and mean thing to do and ended up going home early. Now, at this point, I'm just confused. I don't think I've done anything wrong. We've never hung out before, and why would I invite someone from my course who I only kind of know, especially when I get to see it with my home friends? Also, is it as crazy as I think it is for her to expect me to invite her along just because it's something Sherlock Holmes themed? Because right now, I'm incredibly confused and I really don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. You were going with close friends. These are people from your hometown, and it's people that you have a history with. It would be way different if this was like a group from college and you were like, okay, let's go see this attraction or whatever. Like, if that were the case and there was some kind of like group from college going to this thing, then yes, absolutely invite her. She would be the #1 pick that you could think of that would enjoy this type of thing. But that literally is not what happened. You were with friends from your hometown, and these friends, by the way, are people that she doesn't know at all. So either she's just being incredibly obnoxious about this and is choosing to be offended over this in some kind of way, or she just really wanted to be a third wheel in this group setting. But either way, in my opinion, I don't think you did anything wrong. Like, you even said it yourself, you're not very close with her, so for her to act like this is some kind of massive callous thing to do, in my opinion, is a massive overreaction. It's like, lady, I don't even know you that well. We've never met up outside of college, and I've only spent time with you in class. Who in the world are you to act like I have any obligation to you in the slightest? And I can't stand people who act this way, where they believe just because they're not invited to something, that then somehow means that you just don't like them. Because that's insane. That is such an overstretch, it's not even funny. So if Mary wants to act weird, then truly she can act weird in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, you have no obligation to this lady, especially if she's gonna act this entitled over something so small. An entitled old jerk yelled at my sister, who is dying from cancer, that she needs to stop faking it and get out of her wheelchair. And I'm honestly still shaken up by this incident, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I have a sister who was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, and it has been a very long road. She received a transplant and has GVHD. It's been incredibly difficult to watch her get frail and lose mobility. She can't work and spends the majority of her time at the hospital getting treatments. Well, she called me to share that her favorite group from Europe was having a rare concert in the state that I live in and that I should go. So I flew her out and I invited our other sister to join us. She called to tell me a few weeks prior to her trip that she can't walk across a room anymore and she is very weak. But I made every accommodation that I could for her. This is a big deal and she has a tendency to downplay how sick she is. When I picked them up from the airport, I barely recognized her. She told us that night that she thinks this is the end of her life and she's now looking at palliative care. This was the last time she would be physically able to travel and that we would be able to do one of our girls' trips. She even needs help to get out of a wheelchair. We went to the concert and the venue was very small and intimate and it was not ADA compatible. There were no handicap parking spots or elevators or designated spots for wheelchairs. I found her a spot behind the last row just to the side of the hallway and I grabbed 2 small chairs for us. There are 2 entrances about 30 feet apart from each other and it takes less than a minute to exit the theater and walk around to the other entrance. Well, we were talking when some old entitled jerk started yelling at me to move out of his way. He was ramming his walker into my folding chair repeatedly. I told him we can't move because she's in a wheelchair and there's no place for her to go without being in the flow of traffic. But he continues to violently ram my chair and yells loudly, "Oh, she's faking it. Tell her to get her fat butt up and move." But I responded calmly by saying she can't get out of the wheelchair. Please turn around and use the exit and come in the other door. He then yells and rams my chair even harder. "I'm the one in the wheelchair with a disability and not her. Move out of my way." By this time, both of my sisters sisters are aware of what's happening. My one sister climbs over the wheelchair and tries to back it up, but she can only move back about 4 inches. He then screams at me, "Move your lazy butt and stop making life harder for a poor old man." Now, I cannot easily get out as he's blocking the only viable exit, and he's running his walker repeatedly into my chair. I mean, I was afraid he was going to hit me, so I climbed over both folding chairs in my high heels and my sister in her wheelchair. But he keeps ramming the empty chair and making a scene. The area is so narrow that it's barely wide enough for his walker, so there is no way he can get by unless he wants to move the chairs, and we would have to completely exit the venue. He continues on with his tantrum, then starts demanding that I go find his wife because she will know what to do. And she's just on the other side of the aisle from my sister, and she's completely ignoring him. Well, he then abruptly stops. He turns around and in less than a minute is next to his wife. Meanwhile, all 3 of us are really shaken. So many people, including the ushers, witnessed this, and still nobody helped us out. I was so angry and shaking, and it honestly took me a long time to calm down because the way we got treated was absolutely unacceptable. You are a stronger person than me because I think I would go to jail if somebody did that to me. There's no way I would ever respond well to that kind of treatment. Like seriously, this is absolutely uncalled for and so toxic. First of all, why does the venue not have handicap accessibility? Isn't that like illegal or something like that? I'm pretty sure there's laws against that. The fact that you had to find some like corner next to the exit just to have any spot to sit, like that is crazy and there is no good excuse for that, especially a venue that has concerts. But also, this guy was completely out of line. Like he was ramming into your chair like an idiot. Like screw that guy, you're trying to spend time with your sister who's probably gonna die soon. So honestly, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that in the slightest because that guy was completely out of line. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for disinviting my sister-in-law to my Christmas gathering and for refusing to invite her back after she made some awful comments about me? Because right now I'm being accused of causing unnecessary drama, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 26-year-old female, and my boyfriend, who we will call Alex, has a sister who we will call Sally. Alex and I recently moved in together, so we thought it would be good to host Christmas there as a housewarming. All those invited were Alex's parents, Sally, my parents, my brother's wife, and my 2 nieces. Sally's best friend, who we will call Mary, was also going to come by for a while, as her family lives quite far away, and I have met and hung out with Mary a few times. Anyways, Sally and I got into a stupid argument. We both have tattoos and piercings. I also have stretched ears, and I no longer wear them. I like a lot of metal and rock music, but no longer dress as gothic or dark as I used to. But Sally is quite gothic, and she has numerous facial and ear piercings. I used to have the same, but took them all out a couple of years ago, but recently just put my nose ring back in. I have a single piercing, but I put a ring in that is a double ring, but on one piercing, if that makes sense. I just really like the look of it, and I thought that it suited me. Sally, on the other hand, has 2 proper nose piercings, with both rings in one nostril. When I met up with her, she noticed my piercing and asked if I got a new one, and I said no. But then she got really weird and quite mean by stating to me, and I quote, "Why in the world are you wearing a fake double nose ring? You're just being a poser. I actually went and got it done properly." She said some other comments saying it really didn't suit me, and I would be better off going back to being a pretend happy person. It actually really hurt my feelings, and I don't know where it came from. It was like she was gatekeeping a certain way of looking. She has made some comments before about me dressing in color, etc., rather than all black and still liking metal, and said before that I don't fit into the metal group. And the last comment also felt like a dig at my mental health. Putting my nose piercing back in actually boosted my self-esteem, as I've struggled to accept how I look due to severe depression. When I went back home, I told Alex what happened, and he called Sally, and she tried to play the whole thing off as a joke, and said that it's not her fault I'm too weak to handle sarcasm. She then just kept laughing about it, and didn't even attempt to apologize. Well, I've decided I no longer want Sally over for Christmas if all she wants to do is humiliate me, and Alex agrees. He texted saying that she is no longer welcome if she is going to be like that, and when he did that, things really went through the roof. She has thrown a colossal temper tantrum, saying that we are targeting and excluding her, and yet she hasn't once offered an apology. I told my in-laws about it, and they seem to think that I should be the bigger person and say that I probably took the comment the wrong way, which trust me, I definitely didn't. They say I'm causing unnecessary drama and that Christmas is for the family. My family are in my side, saying what's the point in inviting someone over who can cruelly mock my appearance and try to pass it off as a joke. And my family also mentioned a good point that my in-laws didn't. Sally made a cruel comment about my mental health, and and that honestly is not okay. So am I the jerk for uninviting Sally to my Christmas party? What should I do? No, you're definitely not the jerk because this kind of behavior is so inappropriate. If someone's gonna be toxic towards you and treat you like garbage, then in my opinion, they have no obligation to be around you. And I seriously don't care what the occasion is. So no, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk for uninviting Sally because her behavior, in my opinion, would have made things incredibly awkward. And that is not something that you should ever be expected to put up with. An entitled Karen loses her mind after she misses the cutoff to buy beer at my grocery store. Here's what happened. So while I was working at a grocery store some years ago, there was this one particular incident that happened on a day that I was not working myself. However, I came there to shop. Now the laws here make it so that the sale of alcohol is forbidden after 8 o'clock p.m. So the store would cover up the beer aisle and the fridges. I came in the store at about 7:55 p.m. and the incident happened from here. A woman comes into the store with a shopping cart and sees that my colleague is about to start covering the alcohol but says nothing and just grabs a 6-pack of beer. As the woman made her way around the store to the register, I was at self-checkout minding my own business when I heard someone yelling. She started screaming, "Why did you close the alcohol sale so early? I was here 7 minutes before. You need to scan it right now." For reference, she had bought a 6-pack of beer, which by the way won't scan in now no matter what, since it was now 8:03 p.m. "I was here before it closed. Let me buy it right now, you stupid jerk." Although trust me, she didn't say jerk. My colleague at the register got more and more tilted and started talking back, and I'm not sure what he said since he was much quieter. But then suddenly this woman starts addressing other customers. She starts screaming out, "I was here before 8 o'clock, so I should be able to buy this, right?" Well, if you could insert a cricket noise, this would be the right time to do it. She then pays for some stuff and then runs outside the store entrance and calls somebody. Now I'm on my way out of the store at this point, and I hear her screaming, "Check the clock, I was here early. These idiots told me it was closed, but it was early." Then she finally goes back inside and screams at my colleague, "You are an absolute idiot and such a jerk." And I'm not sure what happened afterwards as I was on my way home, but clearly this lady's alcoholism was so bad that she had to make a fool of herself in front of everybody. Yeah, this is a classic case of she wasn't on time, so this is now everybody else's fault. Here's the thing, if she ran in there and bought it really quickly before it hit 8 o'clock, she could have bought her stuff and then gone about with her life. But the fact that she's trying to freak out on the employee, who has probably no control over how this is sold, that in my opinion is so uncalled for. She has no right to treat someone like that, and I honestly just can't stand customers who act this way. Am I the jerk for skipping Thanksgiving to avoid my cousin's fiance after he treated me so poorly last year? Because right now I'm getting guilt tripped so hard by my aunt and uncle that I really feel like I might be in the wrong. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm very close with one of my cousins, but I'm not a big fan of her fiance. They've been together for 5 years, and at family events he's either a total grump or he's drunk, or sometimes he's even both. On Thanksgiving night, my family always has the Charlie Brown Christmas movie on in the background after dinner, and this is our way to kick off the holiday season. The volume is almost at 0 and it's just on in the background. We don't sit around and actively watch it. Well, 2 years ago he complained about it being on, even though it's not even loud, and the football games had already ended when we put it on. Last year he showed up drunk and he was pretty belligerent and was slurring his words. He then immediately started being rude to my cousin when she tried to give him water instead of beer, and he complained about the movie so much that we changed it, even though he was in the kitchen and it was playing in another room. After an hour, I went back and I put on Charlie Brown because I love watching it, and he wasn't paying attention, so I thought he wouldn't notice. I moved the TV controller under a pillow so he couldn't change it again, and when he realized it was back on, he freaked out and started yelling for somebody to change it. Now, no one said anything, but some of my family members were looking in my direction. He then full-on yells at the table I'm at and tells me that I need to turn the stupid movie off. Well, one of my brothers got up and told them that they need to leave, and he and my cousin left right away. Now, he apologized afterwards, but my cousin still acts like it didn't happen. It was really jarring to have someone yell and curse at me like that. Well, this year, I skipped Thanksgiving because I didn't want to deal with him, and I'm still not comfortable being around him. My aunt and uncle were upset that I didn't come, and they tried to guilt trip me. Now, I've seen him and my cousin at other events this year, and we were cordial, but I kind of feel like the jerk because I hid the remote, but I think I was justified in skipping Thanksgiving. My two brothers have been on my side ever since it happened, and so have my other cousins. So seriously, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, absolutely not. You're definitely not the jerk. This guy freaked out on you over a movie he wasn't even watching. Like, there's no reason to freak out like that. It's not like it was playing loud, and from the sounds of it, it was in another room. Like, seriously, this guy got mad at nothing. So no, I don't blame you for skipping out on Thanksgiving, because the fact that your cousin, aka his fiance, is acting like this didn't happen, in my opinion, is super toxic, and that is definitely not something that you should have to put up with. Am I the jerk for giving away the spare key to our apartment to my sister instead of my girlfriend's parents? Simply because my girlfriend and my sister don't exactly get along. Because right now, I'm honestly not sure what to do. Here's what happened. So me and my girlfriend of 3 years moved in together to our new apartment. And to get straight to the point, I wanted to give our spare key to my sister who lives closer to us than her parents, who also lives in another city. I reasoned that a spare key is for emergencies, and it would be more logical to give it to someone who lives closer, like my sister. My girlfriend didn't agree with me because my sister doesn't like her much, so she isn't comfortable with her having easy access to our apartment. Also, she had the spare to our previous apartment and had used it without our permission. But later, she did tell us that she had been crashing there for an hour or so, all because she felt car sick. Now, I thought it was fine, and my girlfriend didn't say anything, so I assumed that she was okay with it, but she has been bringing this up lately. Now, I'd like to clarify that my sister has done that only once, and I still think it was fine because she wasn't feeling well. Anyways, giving a spare wasn't a big deal, so I gave it to my sister and also made a duplicate for her parents. Well, my girlfriend wasn't thrilled with my action, stating that I should have told her beforehand. And yes, I will admit that I messed up by not telling her about the duplicate, and I have apologized for that. But again, I reasoned that a spare key should be given to someone living closer to us. And if she wants to, then we can give another to a friend. But right now she's still mad at me, and she's giving me the cold shoulder. I think this was an unnecessary argument, and it's a win-win situation. Everybody gets a key. So truly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, I've just got to say, I really think the original poster is the jerk in this situation because they literally completely ignored their girlfriend. For starters, I don't blame your girlfriend for being upset that your sister went in your apartment without your permission. And sure, she's saying that she was only there once because she was car sick or whatever she's telling you, but that's already incredibly sketchy. And it's not fair for your girlfriend to have to feel like, oh man, she could be in my house at any time, or even be left wondering how many times she's been there without your knowledge. So the fact that you completely ignored your girlfriend and said, well, I'm gonna give a key to my sister anyway, sorry about that. Like, that is so weird to me. There's no reason for that, and you really should not have done that. So yes, I do think you're the jerk here. You ignored your girlfriend completely, and I don't blame her for being upset, because in my opinion, this is definitely not a win-win situation. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for shutting down my cousin and not letting her use my wedding as her engagement reveal? Because she claims she's not stealing the spotlight and that this would be just a simple announcement that wouldn't take much time. But I've decided to put my foot down and say no, stating that this is our special day and that she cannot take away from it. Here's what happened. I'm a 29-year-old female and I'm getting married in 2 weeks. My fiance and I have been planning this wedding for over a year, and we've worked hard to make it special. It's a mid-sized event with about 100 people in attendance, and we've kept it pretty traditional. The ceremony, the dinner, the speeches, the dancing, pretty usual stuff that you would expect at a wedding. Well, enter my cousin, who we will call Emily. She's 27 years old, and she's always been the type who loves being the center of attention, which isn't usually a problem until now. A few days ago, Emily pulled me aside during a family dinner, and she asked if she could make a small announcement at my wedding reception. When I asked what kind of announcement, she got all giddy and said, me and my boyfriend are engaged. Now, I congratulated her, but immediately told her that my wedding day wasn't the right time or place for her announcement. I explained that my fiance and I have spent a lot of time and money planning this day, and I didn't want anything taking away from the celebration. When I said that, Emily looked genuinely hurt. She said to me, I thought you'd be happy for me. It's not like I'm stealing the spotlight. It's just one little announcement. But I stood my ground and I said no. But now she's been sulking ever since. She has even hinted to other family members that I'm being selfish and insecure. And now my aunt is calling to say that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. My fiance is 100% on my side and thinks it's ridiculous for anyone to use someone else's wedding to make a big announcement. But part of me wonders if I am overreacting. Emily swears she wasn't trying to overshadow me, and I know it's exciting for her to be engaged, but I really need to know, am I in the wrong for shutting down my cousin in the way that I did? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you are not the jerk. Emily is out of her mind if she thinks that's okay. You put all this time and money into your special day, and then she wants to swoop in and be like, oh, by the way, we're gonna take center stage for a little bit. Like, no, you're not doing that. That's insane. Like, that is seriously not fair for you in the slightest. So no, I don't blame you for a second for shutting that down. Because I know if I was in your situation, I would not only ignore my stupid aunt, but I would hold my ground and say, no, you're not doing that at my wedding. Literally, if they want to announce that, then do that on their own dime. But for them to show up at your event and try to make that happen, in my opinion, is totally unacceptable. Am I the jerk for canceling all of my Christmas plans for my family, all because my brother refuses to apologize for the way he's been treating me. Because after he's made some incredibly hurtful comments about me and my life, as well as constantly putting me down and making fun of me in front of the family, I've decided to put my foot down, demanding that he either apologize for the way he's acting, or else I would cancel all of my plans that I had for the family. Because right now, after I decided to stand my ground, my family is freaking out on me, saying that I'm overreacting and that I'm the one being childish. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so here's the deal. I am designated the Christmas host in our family. Every year, I pour my heart into organizing the holidays with cooking, decorating, buying gifts, and creating what my family calls a Christmas wonderland. Everyone loves it, and I truly enjoy doing it. That is until last year came around. My youngest brother, who we will call Jack, has always been the jokester of the family. But lately, his jokes have been hitting below the belt. During Thanksgiving, he made a joke about how I've been single for years and probably spend my evenings crocheting sweaters for my cats, even though for the record, I don't even have cats. Now, the family laughed awkwardly at this, but I felt humiliated. I asked him to knock it off, and he just brushed me off, saying I was too sensitive. Fast forward to last week, and we're in a group chat finalizing our Christmas plans. Jack then posts a meme about women over 30 hosting elaborate holidays because apparently no man wants to marry them, and then he tags me in it. I then immediately texted him privately, telling him that his jokes are hurtful and asking him to apologize. He then says to me, "Oh, relax, it's funny, you're making this a big deal." I then told him that if he didn't apologize, then I was seriously considering canceling Christmas at my house this year. But that's when he decided to double down, saying that I was being a drama queen and that I should learn to take a joke. But that's when I hit my limit. I sent a message to the family group chat telling everybody that I've decided not to host Christmas this year. I said that Jack's repeated disrespect has taken the joy completely out of me. Feel free to make any other plans that you wish to make. Well, this is where the chaos started. My mom begged me to reconsider, saying Jack's just being himself and doesn't mean any harm. My dad called me childish for ruining Christmas over a joke. And while my sister said she understood where I was coming from, she still thinks that I'm being a bit extreme. And Jack, of course, is calling me a Grinch and accusing me of overreacting. Now, I feel guilty because I know my decision impacts everybody, especially the kids in the family who look forward to Christmas at my place. But at the same time, I feel like I shouldn't have to tolerate constant disrespect in my own home, even if it's wrapped up as some kind of joke. So am I the jerk for canceling Christmas over this kind of treatment? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk at all. Honestly, I would do the same thing if I was in your shoes. Here's the thing, people like Jack are bullies, and bullies like this need to be put in their place. Because what he's doing is not funny. This is not some like reciprocated experience between the two of you, and it's not an inside joke that you're both in on. This is him bullying you and seeing you as an easy target and thinking that he can get away with it by being like, "Oh yeah, I'm just telling a joke, don't be so sensitive." Like, why should you have to put up with that, but you can't put your foot down and be like, "Hey, stop it, this is mean. You're hurting my feelings and I don't like this." And the fact that nobody's coming to your defense and being like, "Wow, yeah, that's really hurtful, Jack needs to stop." Like, that says all you need to know about the way they actually feel about you. They would rather you get bullied by Jack instead of correcting Jack and telling him to stop. Like, these people sound like they really just don't care about you. And that is not fair for you at all. You seriously do not deserve that. So seriously, I don't think it's your responsibility to be some kind of doormat or even Jack's punching bag for his stupid comments, because the way he's acting is super inappropriate and you do not deserve to be treated like that in the slightest. An entitled Karen freaks out on me and my mom after I force her to move out of my parking spot at our apartment complex. But after I find out that she keyed my mom's car, I decided to get some petty revenge by deflating her tires and forcing her to tow her car away. And I've honestly never felt better about getting back at somebody in my life. Here's what happened. Okay, so I live in this apartment complex with a parking at the ground floor of the building. Bear in mind, this is my secondary residence for the weekdays, and I stay with my family about a couple of hours away during the weekends. Anyways, my employer rented me a 3-bedroom hallway kitchen apartment in this building, considering that they accounted for my entire family staying with me, which they don't, as they stay at our own house a couple of hours away. I'm given 2 parking spots in the building parking lot, and normally I only use one, because I drive over Monday mornings and drive back during the weekends to see my family. The other spot is mostly unused, but there's more than enough spots in this parking lot for all the residents in this building. So, given that my second spot is mostly unused, an opportunistic neighbor of mine decided to start using my spot because it's got better shade than her parking spot. And I will be frank, I didn't realize this until recently. Recently, however, I invited my mom to stay over with me for a week, and she came separately in her own car. To my surprise, when she arrived, she said that our second spot was already occupied. I inquired with security, and sure enough, enough, he checked the number plate of the car in question, and it belonged to my neighbor. So he called my neighbor to respectfully move her car into her designated spot. But the thing is, she didn't pick up the phone, so the security guard had to climb upstairs and knock on her door to bring her downstairs. Now, here's where she turns into an absolute total jerk. I'm not expecting any apology, which she is liable to give me. Instead of obliging, she starts arguing with the security guard. He said that he's following the rules, and he doesn't really have a say regarding this. She then reluctantly comes down to the parking lot and gives me the nastiest death stare. She hesitates, but eventually moves her car to her spot so that my mom can park her car. And bear in mind, my mom is just waiting in her car all along for my neighbor to move her car. Anyways, my neighbor then continues arguing with the security guard, but we didn't stick around, since me and my mom went to our apartment to get on with our lives. When my mom was leaving to go back home, she was horrified to see that her car had been keyed up really bad. Now, in that time frame, the only people that could have entered our parking lot is the security guards and other neighbors. I'm on great terms with all of my other neighbors, except for the one mentioned in this post. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that she was responsible for this incident. When my mom reported the damage to me, I was outraged. For absolutely no reason, my mom's car was damaged. And it's not like we did anything wrong. I mean, we did get back a parking spot that was rightfully ours. So, of course, to teach this lady a lesson, I decided to damage her car back. In the following days, I brought out my tools and I left some really bad scratches on her front driver's side bumper. But I still felt that wasn't enough. So I decided to completely deflate 2 of her tires. I did this after I came back from work under the pretense that I was checking on my own car, meaning that sweet revenge was absolutely served. Needless to say, she was horrified the next day. She had to get her car towed, which I graciously saw over my balcony, and she was panicking because she was going to be extremely late to get to work. But I smiled whilst watching this, almost feeling like a supervillain, but not really because she deserved it. Now, my neighbor probably knows that it's me, but hasn't pulled a stunt back at me because she knows that she started this fight and I definitely finished it. Wow, your neighbor is a piece of garbage. Seriously, this lady actually keyed your mom's car after you had her move out of your spot. And don't tell me that it was someone else, like clearly there's some kind of security guard here, and there's only one person who's got a problem with you, and it's this stupid Karen who was giving you like a death stare and didn't want to move her car. So in my opinion, I think you dished out some wonderful revenge because this lady absolutely had it coming. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My fiance won't budge on his family Christmas traditions as he literally refuses to see a way to make it work with mine because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. Here's what happened. So my fiance and I have been together for 3.5 years. I grew up in a family with 4 kids and my parents have been married for 34 years. Our extended family is really small and lives back home on the East Coast where I'm from. So I was used to doing Christmas with just the 6 of us, namely my parents and my siblings, for the majority of my life. Some of my best memories are just relaxing at home with them, eating my mom's amazing food, watching movies, and opening presents. We would also get dressed up and go to church on Christmas morning. My parents don't drink either. So for me, family time has never involved alcohol, unlike my fiance's family. My fiance only has 1 sibling, and his parents are divorced, but they are still good friends. He has 4 cousins on his mom's side, and they all have significant others. So it's about 20 of us. Every Christmas Eve, their tradition is to get together at one of their homes in the early afternoon, and they do an Italian feast and drink a lot and play a lot of games. These parties will literally last until about 3 in the morning, which leaves no room to do anything else for the night of Christmas Eve, which in all actuality is not something that I like. My fiance and I have spent every Christmas Eve ever since we've been together with his mom's side for that party, because what he prefers for holidays is being surrounded by his family and partying with them. This has always seemed like a touchy subject, and I've tried to not complain about it because I know it makes him happy, so I try to just go along with it. And so far, our plan is to still attend the party this year for Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, the past few years, we have opened gifts with his mom in the morning. Then we've gone to his dad's side to celebrate with them and open gifts. My parents moved out of town about 1.5 years ago, so we aren't able to do anything with them for Christmas unless they're in town. In my ideal world, my fiance and I would only go to his mom's side's Christmas Eve dinner for maybe a few hours, and then we would leave and do our own little traditions. On Christmas Day this year, we were originally going to travel to New York to see my family, but ultimately decided to stay in town and save money on traveling. So my alternative was that he and I could spend all Christmas Day together, just us, since we would be with his family for most of Christmas Eve. It's our first Christmas in our new house, and first Christmas being engaged. I wanted to at least have some special time for us as a couple for Christmas, Christmas because it is my favorite holiday, and relaxing at home and opening gifts, eating good food, watching Christmas movies, it may not sound like much, but I love it. My fiance originally sounded excited at the idea of us doing that together, but he is now telling me that this would be boring, and it doesn't sound fun to him to sit around all day when we have the whole week off of work to have alone time. He also said that my family Christmases sound lame, and at his family's they actually have fun. Well, I took that personally, because I would hope that my fiance would be excited to spend Christmas Day with just me and try to create our own traditions, and having alcohol and partying involved shouldn't be the determining factor of if it's fun or not. I pointed out that I've already made a lot of sacrifices with my preferred holiday traditions in order to appease him specifically, but you know what? He said that he didn't care, and that made me even more upset. What should I do? Oh wow, your fiance's being very spoiled and very rude. You mean to tell me that for the entirety of you guys being together, you're constantly spending time with his family, but he never wants to do the same with yours? Like seriously, that seems a bit unfair. Why should you have to sacrifice all your family traditions just so he can go partying? Like what's going on? Shouldn't you guys be going back and forth? So overall, I think he's being super entitled, and the way he's going about doing this, in my opinion, is incredibly unfair. Am I the jerk for not letting a woman cut in line to the grocery store after she acted super entitled and super rude with me? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I really need some opinions on grocery store etiquette and not letting someone cut in line. Tonight after work, I stopped by my local grocery store to grab a handful of items to make dinner, and I only had about 5 items in total. I maneuvered my cart behind an older woman who was slowly navigating putting her groceries on the belt to be checked out, and she was the only person I noticed in front of me. A few minutes later, another woman tries to edge her way in line in front of my cart, and I just gave her a quizzical look, and she said to me, "Oh, I was here before, but I went to go see if the other line was moving faster." I said to her, "Okay, but you weren't here when I arrived, so I don't know what to tell you." This woman then proceeded to inform me that she was here first, and that she should be let back in because she only stepped away to see if the other line was faster. I replied that I did not see her before I joined the line, so she could get behind me or go back to the other line. At this point, she showed me that she only had a few things and was shocked that I wasn't going to let her back in line. But I pointed out that I too only had a few items, and I wasn't going to move because I did not see her in line in front of me when I joined. Now, this is where I may be the jerk. At this point, we're both getting frustrated in this grocery store race for pole position. She says to me, "So you're not gonna let me back in? Where is your Christmas spirit?" But I had had enough of her entitlement at this point, and I just shot back at her and I said, "Don't pull that garbage on me." Honestly, if I had been behind her in line, I would have happily held her place if she had asked me, but she wasn't there when I arrived, and she just assumed that she would cut back in line after a few minutes. Using Christmas spirit as a means to get what you wanted was the last straw for me. In the end, she glared at me and said, "I hope you have a Merry Christmas," her voice dripping with sarcasm, and she then left to go back to another cashier. And the irony is, we both left the store with our items at the same time. So truly, am I the jerk for not letting her cut in line, especially after she tried to use Christmas against me? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk entirely. She gambled looking for another line and she completely lost. So for her to come back and be like, "Wait a second, I was actually in line," like that's so weird and stupid. Like, does she really expect to hold 2 different spots in 2 different lines? Like, if you leave the line, then congratulations, you're gonna have to wait to go back in that line. So no, you're not the jerk, because honestly, if someone tried to pull the whole Christmas spirit thing on me as well, I would have lost my mind and been like, "Oh, now you're definitely not getting back in line," because that, in my opinion, is some weird guilt tripping that you do not deserve in the slightest. Am I the jerk for telling my sister that she is an awful mother in the family group chat? Because right now, I'm not sure if I crossed a serious line. Here's what happened. So my sister Sarah and I have seen each other around Christmas every year, but other than that, we don't really communicate except for the occasional family group chat exchange. She has 2 sons who we will call Jackson and Ethan. Jackson is 15 years old and Ethan is 13 years old. I've always known that Ethan is quiet and reserved, and until recently, I thought he preferred to not have a lot of attention until I realized that he's just not getting any. Until last Christmas, I thought Jackson and Ethan had the same dad. I learned that Jackson's dad left Sarah after she cheated on him, which is why we now have Ethan in our lives. I also recently realized that Sarah would reach out in the chat on behalf of Jackson. If he had a sports game, doing a fundraiser, or had a social event to attend, she would ask us to attend, donate, or help him get to and from his social event if she couldn't take him. Or if he was suspended from school, she would reach out to us for help, but rarely would we hear anything about Ethan. And she never told us that Jackson was suspended 99% of the time, all because he was bullying Ethan and his friends. In fact, they now go to separate schools. Recently, Sarah asked if someone could take Ethan to his school choir concert. That way, she could attend parent conferences at Jackson's school. Now, this was odd to me, because because she didn't ask anyone to go watch him perform, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought maybe Ethan just didn't want anyone to watch. I then offered to take him, watch the concert if he wanted me to, and then take him home. He even had a solo and he was smiling and clearly loved doing what he was doing. His choir director said that Ethan is always helping other students and asked me to come to more concerts. Sometime after that, Sarah was once again busy at driver's ed with Jackson and Ethan was left at home. He then started vomiting and called his mom, and of course she reached out and asked if anyone else could go take care of him until she was able to get home. So I decided to just do it. But the thing is, she didn't come home early. Fast forward, and 2 weeks later, which is literally 2 weeks ago from now, he has now broke his hand. Last weekend, I bought tickets to the symphony and I planned on taking him, but I wound up not being able to because I was sick. I then transferred the tickets to his mom and I begged her to take him and she said that she would. Well, I texted Ethan yesterday and asked how he liked it, but he didn't respond. So I called up his mom. It's then that I find out that she didn't take him and didn't find anyone else to try and take him. Apparently, she was busy and forgot, but wasn't too busy to ask the family group chat the day of the concert if anyone would help Jackson's DC trip in the spring. I then went off on her in the family group chat and said that she is being an awful mother. I said that I don't know if it's because she inherited the favoritism gene from our parents or if she is subconsciously punishing him, all because she cheated and got rightfully dumped. And I then told her that she needs to step up for her son. Well, as you can probably guess, this has caused a group chat storm. At first I felt justified, but some of the responses say otherwise. And Sarah, of course, says that I'm the biggest jerk in the world. So seriously, am I in the wrong for calling her out in front of the rest of the family? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk for calling her out and being like, hey, you're neglecting Ethan, but I don't know if the family group chat was the best place to do that. I don't know, in that situation for me personally, I would make sure to discuss it in private first, just to try and see if there's some kind of details that I might be missing. Like sure, you're seeing something that absolutely needs to be discussed, but for me personally, I would have done this in private instead of in a group chat, even though I think you're completely justified in discussing this in the first place. My boyfriend has repeatedly forgotten to get me any Christmas or birthday gifts, but now he's upset that we're not getting pizza on his birthday like he was hoping we would do. And at this point, I'm so frustrated that I seriously don't know how to make things right. Here's what happened. I'm a 21-year-old female and I've been dating my boyfriend for a little over 4 years. The first year he was great about gifts and making me feel loved and remembered, but after that, I didn't get anything. I would remind him months, weeks, and days before my birthday or Christmas. Not once has he planned to take me anywhere or bought me a gift ahead of time. I've never unwrapped a birthday present from him, and I usually get upset, obviously, and then cry. But then we go out and he usually buys me something that I pick out. And honestly, I hate this, and I've told him that I hate this. I give him hints all year. I straight up tell him what I want. In fact, last year he bought me a silicone ring that not only wasn't my size, but it was also a pattern that I didn't like. He also didn't return it to get the size that I wanted, so I just didn't get a gift. And on top of that, this year he just didn't get me anything at all. Like 2 weeks after my birthday, I saw a purse that I wanted at a thrift store, and then he ended up buying that for me. Now we are not super well off, but he spends hundreds of dollars a month on tools and parts to add on to his cars. He also spends money on video games and useless subscriptions that he doesn't use. I don't want him to spend money on me, but over the years I've told him repeatedly that my perfect birthday would be getting flowers, a handwritten note, and then a dinner date. That is literally it. But even the note is too hard to get because even though I love notes, he claims that he can't write, so that's why he never does it. I feel like it's not crazy to ask for just this on my birthday. I don't know if I'm looking for advice or just pity, but I'm just so exhausted with all of this. He works on his birthday a couple of days, so we had planned to go get pizza at his favorite spot after he had his first therapy appointment today. The therapy place is in the same town as the pizza place, which is an hour away. Well, we are both sick, so he canceled his therapy, but this morning I asked him, okay, so we're not going anywhere today, we've got no plans, and he confirmed that we didn't. But now, all of a sudden, he's really upset that we're not going to get pizza still. I'm obviously confused, so I tell him I don't really want to go because he doesn't have therapy anymore. We're also both sick and I don't eat pizza. We would also have to take my car as his needs new tires and the roads are snowy. Well, now he's in bed sulking because apparently going there for my birthday was the only thing that I wanted. So is that guilt tripping? I don't know if I'm too close to him to figure out if I'm overreacting or what I should even do. I want to make him happy and celebrate his birthday like I always do, but I just can't let myself do it. I get emotional and sad every time I try to plan anything. Now, another catalyst for this is that I love painting. I absolutely love it. I'm really artistic and I've been trying to get him to join me in creating anything anything for the past 4 years, but he never has. He's refused painting, making ornaments, drawing something, I mean literally everything. I have been really bothering him about it the last 2 weeks because I always humor him when he wants me to join him in helping with his cars. I am not mechanically gifted and it's not the most fun thing for me, but I like spending time with him and seeing him do what he loves. I guess I need advice on how to get him more involved and what I should do about his birthday and Christmas. I already have gifts picked out for both, but honestly, what do I do here? I don't think I'd be happy if I blew him off on his birthday because I want to celebrate him. What's the best way to make sure that I'm happy and he's happy without being petty or vindictive? What should I do? Okay, first off, you need to pump the brakes. You mean to tell me that this guy refuses to give you any birthday gifts or Christmas presents, and yet he still expects you to do the same for him? Like, what's going on here right now? That is so spoiled and entitled, it's not even funny. You remind this guy over and over again, hey, my birthday's tomorrow, could you get me something that I might like? You even go as far as telling him exactly what you do want, and he still doesn't have the common courtesy to do it. It's like, seriously, this is not that hard to figure out. Just buy your girlfriend what she wants and then be done with it. And him saying, oh, I can't write anything, I'm sorry, that's too hard for me. That is such a cop-out answer, it's not even funny. Of course he can write. He knows how to write with a pen and paper. He just doesn't want to do it because either he's too lazy to, or he doesn't actually care about you that much. Like if my girlfriend said, hey, I want flowers, a handwritten note, and I want a dinner date, I would jump at that so fast. That's like so easy. The barrier of entry of making this a good day for her is now completely figured out. Why would you not dive in head first and do exactly that? So truly, I hope this all gets figured out for you because the way your boyfriend's treating you, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. Am I the jerk for calling my husband's new boss's wife out after I discovered that she stole from my daughter? Because right now I'm worried that my husband's job might be in jeopardy, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So last night we attended my husband's first Christmas party with his new employer. He's been in the same field for decades, so I was familiar with a few attendees. I had never met his boss or his boss's wife, who we will call Andrea, and I knew very little about her. Now, as a side story, my daughter, who we will call Willow, is a fantastic cook. She has worked in the same bank for 7 years, so they've gotten to know her food and will often make a special request. And this year they requested bruschetta and crostinis. A couple coworkers requested that she make a larger batch, as it all went away fast at last year's Christmas potluck. The following day she took it to work, but half an hour before the party, she called me crying because someone had taken it from their fridge. She wasn't crying because the food disappeared. She was crying because she served it in a dish hand-painted by her sister. It was a trumpeter swan dish that I loved very much. I consoled her and suggested it might turn up eventually, but inside I was completely crushed. Now back to the party. I'm enjoying my second glass of Merlot and also getting to know a few people when I decide it's best to go get something to eat so I don't get too buzzed. Now everyone is ranting and raving over the boss's dish, bruschetta and crostinis. Apparently she can't cook and usually buys something, so this is a surprise to them. I am curious to see if it's better than Willow's recipe, so I walk over to grab some, and much to my surprise, this is from my own trumpeter swan dish. I walked over to the dish and I turned it to a friend of mine, who we will call Julie, pointing out the dish and sharing its origin. She suggested that there might be more than one, but I just shook my head and said, no, it's handmade, look at the bottom. And by this time, Andrea had walked over to us. I turned to her and I said, do you work at the US Bank? She then nods and says, I don't recognize you, are you a customer? But I said to her, no, I'm Willow's mother. You broke her heart today. I then pointed to the dish. Andrea's face then floods with color as she tries to defend herself. There are tons of those dishes out there. But Julie said to her, Andrea, this is hand painted. She then lifts it over her head. By now there are 4 other women around us, and on the bottom of it, it says my other daughter's name and the year 2009. Andrea opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. She then bursts into tears and leaves the room. Her husband followed her shortly thereafter, effectively ending the party. At home, my husband yelled at me for confronting her in front of everyone else. He thinks I should have discreetly confronted her and asked for my dish back rather than doing it in public. But I yelled back that she had no consideration for how she made Willow feel when the dish disappeared. So honestly, I just returned the favor. He yelled that I might have compromised his job, but I yelled back that his boss married a cheap thief. And if he didn't know it before, then he did now. If the boss sided with his wife and made my husband pay, then it wasn't a job worth keeping. Well, this morning his boss isn't at work, and apparently he took vacation until the new year. So am I in the wrong for calling this lady out? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, you're not the jerk, but also, why is your husband not upset about this? Does he really care more about his job over his daughter? Like seriously, this lady stole from your daughter. Your wife is completely justified in calling this lady out and being like, wait a second, you stole from us. Like, I'm sorry, this is not something that should ever be taken lightly. The original poster has now gone on to explain that her husband, the boss, and the wife are all going to meet tonight. And while the original poster is kind of nervous about this, if I was in the original poster shoes, I would be like, no, I'm definitely excited about this because these people need to apologize to me. They stole from my family, and that is absolutely unacceptable. So no, you're not the jerk for calling these people out in the slightest, because this is something, in my opinion, that absolutely needs to be addressed. An entitled customer notorious for screaming at my coworkers decided to call in on our busiest day and freak out on me over something that he needed done right away. But after dealing with this for so many times, today I finally snapped as I screamed at this guy and put him in his place in a way that I'm sure he will never forget. Here's what happened. Okay, so my job consists of office work, handling offers, orders, and shipments. We have a customer in his late 60s who's infamous for his behavior. He loves to yell, insult, and treat our workers like garbage. And my boss already told me that if he yells, I can just hang up the phone. Nobody ever wants to talk to this guy. The last time we sent a technician to his company, he yelled at the technician and parked a forklift behind his company car, preventing him from leaving. And this is all because our technician couldn't finish the work and had to return the next day. In fact, his behavior has caused many of our technicians to literally refuse going to his company. Usually, I can handle the guy pretty well, and he sometimes raises his voice at me, but today was the breaking point. His way of calling is usually yelling and then hanging up the phone after you try to talk with him. Now, I'm completely alone in my department because everybody's sick. It's the end of the year, meaning that there's a ton of work to do, so I'm already quite stressed out. The guy sent me an email yesterday because one of his orders was incomplete. I don't have the time to check it out, and I was planning on doing it that day in the afternoon. Well, he calls me and immediately yells at me, saying that I'm incompetent and that I can't do my job. And he also insulted me, as well as calling me lazy and generally just being disrespectful. I answered politely that I'm sorry, but we have a huge workload and we are trying to do everything as quickly as possible. But when I was about to tell him that I was going to check on his problem, he starts yelling on the phone to the point where I almost had to remove my headset. And it was at this moment that I absolutely lost it. I told him that he's not the only customer in this company and that I demand he talks to me in a respectful way without yelling. Well, he keeps yelling and I yelled back, calling him rude and obnoxious, and then I hung up the phone. I stood up and I went for a short walk around the office, and I went to my boss and I told him what had happened. For a moment, I felt all sorts of emotions. First, I was angry and then sad because nobody deserves to be handled like this at work. But afterwards, I felt relieved. My boss told me that I did well and that this customer is about to go on the blacklist because he does this to everybody, including my manager. So I honestly don't know, but I really did feel great afterwards because this guy absolutely had it coming, especially if he's going to be talking to everybody in my office in this way. Wow, good for your manager for banning this guy because this is absolutely unacceptable. Like seriously, this guy should have been banned the second he blocked that company car from leaving, all because they couldn't figure out the problem with this stupid company. Like, I hope they called the police when he did that because that is insane behavior. And honestly, why would anyone put up with this for that long? Here you are just trying to do your job, and this guy's acting like you're his whipping post for all of his stupid problems. Like, it's not like you did anything wrong here. You're literally trying to help him out, but this guy just doesn't give anybody a word in edgewise. He freaks out on them, he starts screaming and swearing, and he treats everybody like garbage. Like, I can understand someone being like a little frustrated because they're not getting the service they need, but this guy's literally not letting you guys give him any service. He just jumps in, screams at you as loud as he can, and then he hangs up like a toddler, only to then call back when it's convenient for him. Like, he really tries to act like this is somehow okay and that he can just act like this. And from my own experience in life and just dealing with other customers like this, sometimes you really do have to fight fire with fire. Like, sometimes there are just people who act like this and they don't understand how rude and toxic they're being until they get that kind of treatment right back at them. So good for you for standing up for yourself and refusing to take that garbage, because this kind of behavior, in my opinion, is unbelievably toxic. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I overreacting over the fact that my mom tried to mend a bond with my brother by sharing personal information that I didn't want shared? Because right now I'm incredibly frustrated and I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. To start things off, I am one of 10 children. My parents are divorced, and I only have regular communication with 2 of my sisters and 1 of my brothers. I haven't had any semblance of a relationship with my father in more than 15 years, as his wife absolutely hates me and has managed to turn all of my other siblings against me. My brother has also had it out for me ever since his child was born. He blocked unblocked my number and my iCloud account after ranting to my mother about how I am living a sinful lifestyle by living unmarried with a boyfriend. I only know all of this because I tried to reach out to him to send Christmas gifts and had to call my mom to ask if he changed his number. I've been living abroad for about 7 years now, but have made trips back for big events, one of which was my brother's wedding. My partner and I have been dating for 2 years, and we moved in together in April. Due to complicated residency issues, we have recently been discussing getting married. It's something we've talked about prior to these issues, but we have felt increasingly more cornered into making the decision sooner rather than later. I recently spoke with my mother and mentioned that we were considering moving forward with paperwork to get a marriage license, but we stated that nothing was serious yet. Also, a few days later, I was speaking with my sister, and I mentioned that I might be getting married. And to my absolute shock, she told me that she already knew. My heart sunk because I knew my mother, who doesn't even speak with my sister, was the only person I had said anything to. My sister then went on to explain that she found out from my brother in a relatively crude way when he texted her to belittle me. As soon as I hung up with my sister, I immediately called my mother in tears. She then admitted to telling my brother, but her reasoning was to make him realize that he could be missing out on major events and that his actions could destroy our relationship. I understand her attempt, and I know that my mom is such a hopeful and optimistic woman, but she is naive and kind to a fault. But even with all of that in mind, my brother has shown recently that he has an intent to cause me emotional harm. My brother also has a big mouth, and I am absolutely certain that he has shared my private life with everyone that I don't speak to. I shared this with a few friends already, and they're split on this. Some of them are saying to let it go and just live my best life, which I am surely on board to do. However, part of me really wants to get back at my mother for sharing my excited news with someone who currently hates me. Like, what in the world was she thinking sharing my happy news with anyone else? She stole my joy and my opportunity to tell people myself and hurt the feelings of people who found out from my brother instead of me. My grandmother, who is my favorite person in the world, is deeply hurt now that I didn't call to tell her before she heard it from my brother. The worst part about all of this is that nothing is even true. My partner hasn't even proposed yet. I don't have a ring, and now this has forced us into an even more awkward position. So am I overreacting for guilting my mom every time we speak now? I've made her cry a few times now, but I don't know how to otherwise show her how badly it hurt me. What should I do? Okay, honestly, I don't think you're overreacting at all because this is so toxic. She completely jumped the start and said, oh my gosh, they're getting married. Basically, he proposed to her. This is so exciting. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't stand when people do this. You literally have good news that could happen, and then someone's like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, so I'm going to tell everybody before you can. Because if someone does that, then I now know I can never talk to them about anything ever again. Any possibility of me having a private conversation with them is permanently gone, because now I can't trust that they'll even keep that a secret. And I love the part where you said, oh, you stole the joy of me telling people myself, because my God, does that hit the nail on the head for me. This completely resonates with me because I've run into this so many times with people in my life. So no, I don't think you're overreacting because this honestly is so uncalled for. Am I the jerk for refusing to buy my husband any more gifts after he turns down quite literally anything I get him? Here's what happened. Okay, so I've been with my husband, who we will call James, for about 12 years. And we have this argument like clockwork every single birthday and Christmas, but I've had enough. I hate surprises and I hate surprise gifts even more because I lived in a clutter with my parents, and being forced to keep a present to not offend someone really bothers me because then I grapple with frustration, guilt, and general annoyance because now there's a thing taking up space that I don't know what to do with. James, on the other hand, absolutely loves surprise gifts, but he is super picky. He does this thing where he will tell someone, oh, I'm all right with anything, but when he gets that anything, he will make some remark about how he actually wanted X, Y, and Z, which then dampens the mood and makes him sound so childishly ungrateful. It drives me mad because the most hypocritical thing is that if I do that for him, he will get upset and say that I should be grateful. And it's not about the price either, because the things he surprises me with are always either more expensive or around the same price as what I actually asked for. Now, I've tried my hardest to figure out what he'd like, but I always somehow miss the mark. For instance, one year I managed to force him to tell me that he would like any Apple product that I could get him, but when I got him a new iPad to replace his old one, he said that he actually preferred AirPods. I then returned the iPad and he got upset. Another year, he told me he wanted jogging socks from a specific brand, but when he got them, he said that he actually wanted another variant of it. Another year, he kept talking about a specific type of wallet for 6 months straight, sending me posts about it, reviews, pretty much whatever. And I did get it for him, thinking that I've cracked the code, but you know what he said to me? If you guessed him saying, well, actually, I wanted something else, then you are absolutely correct. And this is one of those things that just rinses and repeats. This year, I tried to ask him again to at least give me a hint to work with, and he playfully told me to surprise him. Years of pent-up frustration got the best of me, and I straight up told him that he's being an ungrateful child, and I will not be surprising him. If he wasn't going to tell me, then he gets nothing. I also told him to stop surprising me with stuff I don't even want, because he's a hypocrite whose feelings will get hurt if I don't fall on my knees thanking him for something I don't want. I'm done coddling him over gifts because it's so stupid, and it's causing undue stress to me. As per the usual, he's gone off to sulk, and I really feel terrible for lashing out at him. So am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now I don't know what to do. Oh man, this is super annoying, because your husband's being weird. Yes, he wants to be surprised with gifts, but it's like anything you get him is never what he actually wants. And if he's throwing down hints by being like, oh yeah, I really want something Apple related, and then you get him an iPad and he's like, no, I wanted AirPods. It's like, what are you talking about? Why didn't you make that known at some point during the year? Like, this all is super annoying, and I don't blame you for getting frustrated. So no, you're not the jerk, because the way your husband's acting is incredibly childish. My coworkers at my job treat me like absolute garbage, as they are all literally in a clique and don't like me simply because I'm the new server at the restaurant. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so recently I got a job at a popular food chain restaurant. I liked it when I first started, but I immediately noticed how close all of the front of house was. It was literally a clique. I ignored it and figured they would eventually respect me as a new hire, but they did not. One server in particular is pretty grown, but does not act her age whatsoever. She's the kind that will look at you like you just kicked her dog over the most simple, fixable mistake, and will be blatantly rude to you for no reason. Also, she's been here for 11 years. I get it. You hate new people when you've worked somewhere so long and have constantly seen people come and go, and sure, it must be so annoying. But do people forget they were new at one point too? Where does being rude and unwelcoming get you in a work environment? Wouldn't you rather be on good terms with all of your coworkers when you come into work every day? I will never understand why some people can be so rude. It came to a point where I was sick of being nice and kissing up to someone who was so rude to me constantly that I started giving her an attitude back just like anybody would normally do. Well, the other day she came up to me and basically questioned me in my face as to why I was acting this way as if I started it. She said she didn't like the attitude that she was getting from me and said that other people were coming up to her to tell her things that I said about her. But the funny thing is, I didn't say anything about her to anyone other than the fact that she isn't the nicest person to me, and I think her attitude is very tacky, which again, that is the truth, and I stand by that. And I should have just said that to her face. So seriously, should I find a new workplace? Is it worth it if everyone is so cliquey and looks at me differently because I'm so new? Has anyone ever dealt with something similar? I mean, how do I deal with this? It's driving me nuts, and I genuinely don't think that anyone will be any nicer to me, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I've dealt with people like this, and it is absolutely the worst. First of all, at least from my experience, the only reason they hate you is because you're new. Like, that's the only reason this is going so badly for you. They don't like you because you're new and you're not somebody that they recognize. And from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like this group of people will ever accept you under any circumstances. So you can either ignore them and live your best life and just not even acknowledge them, or you can find a new place to work. Now, I've done both of these, and I found the most happiness by finding another job. These people suck, and I guarantee you it starts from the top down. So truly, I'm so sorry they're treating you like this, and I really hope you're able to find something much better than what you're currently going through. Am I overreacting for boycotting my family's Christmas plans? All because they gave my sister the house that I had asked for. Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. So I used to live with my cousins in a house that her grandfather owns. And several months ago, my cousin told me that she'd be moving out and moving in with her sister. She told me that I could stay with them too, but I asked her if I could stay in this house and pay rent myself. Well, she said that she would talk to her grandfather about it. About a week or so later, she tells me that they are going to demolish the house because it is really old and it would just cost too much to make repairs and all this other stuff. So then I moved in with my then boyfriend, but I then come to find out not much longer that they offered my half-sister the house. My sister and I share the same mom, so she is not even related to my cousins. Now, I get it. My sister was living with my parents and she has an 8-year-old, but it's the fact that all of my belongings were there, as I had literally lived there before her, and I asked if I could stay and pay for it, but instead they tell me they're demolishing it, and my sister never mentioned anything about it, and now they're giving it to her. Obviously, if they were to let me stay, I would have offered my sister and niece to stay with me, because there is 3 bedrooms, and she never said I could stay with her. Like, Even my cousin offered me to stay with them and my own sister didn't. When I was 16, the same family offered my half-brother a house for him and his 2 kids. It's weird to me that my dad's side of the family just hands over my mom's kids literal houses just because they got pregnant or they got someone else pregnant. So I have to be far enough in life to be appreciated and helped out. Also, just to add to the why I'm not going to the Christmas get-together, my uncle had gotten all my cousins expensive things, like a headset for gaming, a turquoise necklace, and if you knew me, then you'd know that that is not anywhere near my style. I just don't want to deal with it, so I just say thanks for the gift and I'll see you next Christmas. And sure, I feel like I sound entitled or something like that, but my dad is very upset about this too. So I do feel a little justified, but I just wanted some outside views on it. So am I overreacting in this situation? Because right now I don't know what to do. I don't think you're overreacting at all because this really is a complete mess. They first tell you they're gonna demolish the house, and then without telling you, they're like, psych, we're gonna give it to your sister. It's like, what is going on right now? That is so unfair. And no, you're not entitled to the house. That's not what I'm saying. But the bare minimum expectation you could have is for them to say, sorry, we're gonna give it to your sister instead of you. Because what they decided to do was honestly incredibly dishonest. Am I the jerk for backing out of all social events simply because one person's gonna be there that I don't like? Because right now my friends are saying I'm being really childish, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for starters, this is a throwaway account for privacy reasons. I need a truly impartial judgment because everyone I've asked has some skin in the game and is mixed on this view. For context, I don't like this girl who we will call Ellie. I also work with her at one of my 2 jobs, and this will be important later on. I think she's annoying, way too performative, and I've also caught her telling random lies to our coworkers. I don't like being around her and only interact with her at work if I have to. Me and my group of friends were out at a bar a few months ago, and Ellie coincidentally was there as well. She walked over to me to say hi and is now part of my friendship group. All of my friends know how I feel about her, have heard her crazy behavior at work, and why I don't like to be around her. However, the majority of them like her and she has been embraced. Ellie is a part of our group chat. Most of the time when we make plans, she comes as well. I brushed it off the first couple of times, but now I've decided not to go to anything where she's also coming. Because I work 2 jobs and only have 1 day off a fortnight, it really varies depending on the shift patterns. I really value that time and decided I don't want to waste it being around someone that I don't like. I've never tried to play the hand of me being in the group first or issuing an ultimatum to pick one of us, so I just declined and I sit at home. As a result, I see my friends about once a month instead of a few times a week, and that's because I don't want to see Ellie for 8 hours where I can't stand her and then proceed to be in her presence for the rest of my evening. Everyone in my friend group has picked up on it and constantly invite me to plans where Ellie is also attending, but I just keep my stance firm and I still decline. My 2 friends who I like the most, who we will call Grace and Jess, are calling me childish and say I'm forcing them to choose between us, but I insist that I'm not, and I'm happy just staying at home. They keep calling me to change my mind, even creating a separate chat to talk about it, but I don't budge, and they think I'm being a jerk about it, and I should just be the bigger person and go anyways. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, personally, I think your friends are being very rude right now because you literally are being the bigger person. You're not telling them to not be friends with her, and you're literally avoiding her because you don't like this lady. You're not giving them an ultimatum or doing anything to be like, wow, it's either her or me. Like, none of that's happening because you're just staying out of it. And I don't blame you. It sounds like Ellie's really obnoxious and you just don't like her. And I know if I had someone like that invading my friend group, I'd be pissed off as well. So no, you're not the jerk for making this stance, because in my opinion, this sounds like Ellie is ruining your friend group. Tonight, we dealt with the worst table we've ever had at this restaurant, as they caused massive problems for me and my coworkers to such a degree that I honestly hope I never have to deal with them ever again. Here's what happened. You just know when you first meet a table how the rest of the night's going to go. And thankfully, I was hosting last night, but I feel so bad for my coworker who had to take this table. It was a 12 top who came in at like 9 o'clock when our kitchen closes at 10:40, which is fine by the way, but it meant that it is likely this server's last table and it will keep her there for the rest of the night. Before they even greeted me, one of the moms loudly exclaimed, "Man, it's absolutely dead in here." And she was so loud that the cooks could hear her. While I was seating them, one of the kids started saying, "I want this and I want that." I said to him, "Okay, but I'm not your waitress." And another kid then jumps in and says, "I want pasta, but with bone and wings on top instead of tenders." And again, it's like, I'm not your waitress. And bone and wings are a standalone dish, not a topping sub, but whatever. They eventually sat over 2 large tables. They put all the kids, like 8 of them, at one table and had the 4 adults at the other. So there's a table of 8 kids without an adult, and I'm sure you can imagine how that was. But not all of them were even there when they first sat down, and they told the server to divide their checks into like 4, including the members who weren't there yet. They would say stuff like, he's with me and his mama who's not even here yet, and she's with these other 2 coming later, and then these 2 are together. And they did this over and over again. I then went back to my book and I let their server attempt her absolute best work. And at one point she asked them, can I get anyone anything else? And one of the kids literally screams out, I want a refill, a refill! And of course there was no correction from the parent. One of the adults had music playing on her phone on full volume the entire time. The kids who were at a table together were wrestling, they were climbing over the booth, and all this other destructive garbage. And again, no parents got involved at all. When they got their check, one of the moms yelled at the waitress, I am not paying $40 for broccoli chicken Alfredo with extra chicken. With extra Alfredo sauce and broccoli? Are you kidding me? And by the way, she ordered all of that. As if restaurants let you add unlimited mods to food for free. I then went to check the bathroom, and they had somehow pulled every single paper towel out of the women's restroom, which I had just refilled earlier that day. And it's like, what is going on? Are you really stealing paper towels from a restaurant? The manager finally kicked them out and made them pay their bill on the spot for the state of the bathroom and also not controlling their kids. To top it all off, they literally tipped nothing, even though they had a bill of over $200. And I'm honestly just hoping they get banned for life here, because I really don't want to deal with them ever again. Oh wow, these people suck big time. You mean to tell me they came in literally at the end of the day and decided to act like this? Like seriously, this is so unacceptable, especially with the way they just let their kids run free and like literally do nothing to correct them. That is so frustrating for a server. It really is just not fair, because then you have to somehow navigate dealing with these stupid brats while also not offending any of the adults in the room when you tell those kids to knock it off. So yeah, those people really suck, and their attitude was completely unnecessary. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, make sure to subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.